Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
My dear penguins, we stand on a great threshold. It's okay to be scared. Many of you won't be coming back. Thanks to Batman, the time has come to punish all God's children. First, second, third, and fourth born. Why be biased? Male and female. How the sexes are equal with their erogenous zones blown sky high. Forward march. The liberation of podcast has begun.
What an insane movie.
I'm so glad that was one of the two that I was
either going to do that or I was looking for the chubby little digits speech.
That was my
I
other
couldn't
one.
find
no,
that
I
one.
wrote it down.
Why? Because I was born.
No, when I
These
picked up
shiny flippers.
when I picked up my Tiffany rattle with a smooth flipper instead of 5 chubby digits, they freaked.
I was their number one son, and they treated me like number 2.
I have been weirdly, and I it seems like now maybe some part of it was me getting ready to watch this movie again, because this is a movie I rewatch.
You're a fan.
A lot. And I knew we were going to do this miniseries. I was like, I will withhold.
Sure.
And not rewatch this movie.
Edging.
For a year, I want to edge so that it really pays off when I get to watch it again. But in the last couple of weeks leading up to this episode, I've been watching a lot of Taxi.
Like old DeVito, old DeVito.
Yeah. And it
Young
is
DeVito.
Young DeVito. I mean, really, like formative, like the genesis of DeVito.
What are you watching it on? What's it on?
Hulu has every season, but they're missing a lot of episodes.
Right, I think I knew that.
Maybe for licensing or what have you.
Music.
But it did make me realize, like, oh, this is literally the only time Danny DeVito has given a performance like this.
Oh, you mean
in his entire career?
Wait, this?
Yeah.
Batman Returns.
Yes.
No, yeah.
It's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. No, he's doing, like, it's really hard to imagine him doing anything like this now.
He's
like,
never
just
done a character performance like this outside of this one movie.
His weird sort of like, public persona at this point is becoming sort of penguin.
Sure. He's like chaotic good penguin.
Yeah, where he's just like, man, I'm a Scalia retire bitch, and like posting tweets of his foot. And then I saw him
drinking his limoncello.
Trollfoot, yeah. And he gave this this special award at a Gotham ceremony that I was at one year.
Gotham ceremony!
It's a fair. I didn't even make that connection. To like his producing partner. What's he, Jersey Films or whatever?
Yeah.
And he just got on stage, and it's the Gotham, so people are just kind of eating and not paying attention. And he just went, holy shit balls! Holy shit balls! Like 8 times. Where everyone's just like, what's he doing? And then he was like, I'm here to present the award. Like he just...
Do you know about the...
He's weird.
Do you know about the splatter cuts thing? Like 8 years ago, Danny DeVito went to Comic-Con and like set up a booth. Like it wasn't even like a panel. He just like had a booth. And everyone was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm making short form horror movies now. And he was like, why can't horror movies be 90 seconds long? And he and some childhood friend of his set up a YouTube channel where they made really gory, like 90-second horror mobisodes.
All right.
And there's a video that he made to promote it that's like him sitting down at like a junket to talk about splatter cuts. And you just hear the interviewer off screen going like, and here we have joining us, Danny DeVito, who's here to talk about splatter cuts. Splatter cuts are a new way of horror, a short form, 90-second delectable bite. And he's like wrestling to put like his mic on. And then the second they ask him the first question, which is like, so how are you doing today? His head explodes scanner style with like blood and viscera all over the place. And you're just like, I guess he just liked this idea and probably put $2 million into it.
Oh my God.
And you can't find any trace of those short films online anymore.
I'm Googling and Google doesn't even know what you're talking about.
He did start his own limoncello company.
The Blood Factory.
Yes. Blood Factory, that's what it was. Yeah.
Not his limoncello company.
No, the limoncello company is not called the Blood Factory. That was, of course, he went on The View after apparently being out all night with George Clooney drinking limoncello.
Right.
and went on the talk show not hungover but still drunk.
Yeah, still very drunk.
And did a George W. Bush impression.
I feel like the Limoncello episode or like chapter of Danny DeVito's career is like a very early Twitter thing for me.
Yes.
Because he was like an early follow for me for some reason on Twitter. When I
Because
was
it used to be interesting that an actor would like debase themselves by being on that website.
Yeah.
That was also like, I remember like Best Week Ever devoting like 17 weeks to the Limoncello interview. Because it was just like, it was one of those weird, like the first times that the new media landscape had such a like slow motion train wreck on television to dissect.
Yeah.
Like it was like Drew Barrymore like jumping on the desk, except now we had 1,000 outlets to like take it apart.
Right.
Hello, everybody. This is
Limoncello talk.
Talking to Vito.
Talking cello.
Yeah. This
Ben, can you insert a cello drop right there? Like, yeah, cello
Little
strings.
yo-yo?
Thank you. Yeah, little yo-yo.
Little yo-yo ma.
Yeah. No, of course I'm joking. This podcast is called Fanny DeVito. It's a podcast for Dan DeVito fans.
I am a fanny. I can't deny it.
Stanny DeVito.
Oh boy! You know, he was in this play like The Price last year,
Right, his Broadway debut.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
In which apparently he like eats a whole egg on stage at one point, and it's like very dramatic. And I didn't go because it got bad reviews, but I really should have gone. I wanted to see him eat that egg.
Yeah.
Is it hard
He got like a Tony nom. Yeah, hard-boiled egg. He like peels and dramatically eats a hard-boiled
10 times
egg.
a week, including matinees.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of protein.
I know. One time I was in LA and there were a lot of posters up that he was doing the Sunshine Boys with Judd Hirsch.
Yeah.
So he'd never done Broadway, but I guess he would do
Off-Broadway, I
like
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, no.
And that was West End, right? Yeah, right.
This
West End.
podcast is called Blank Check. It's about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their career and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. Sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they bounce. And what a greater...
They bounce what?
Baby.
All right.
Your firstborn baby.
Like, they wrote this and they were like, yeah, we don't know who we're going to have to play Catwoman. We'll meet with every famous actress in America. And then, like, who's going to play the Penguin? And they were like, everyone was just like, well,
I mean,
Danny DeVito, right? Like, who else is going to play this?
But then the other thing is, like, you have to imagine that when he went to Warner Brothers and was like, Danny DeVito's playing the Penguin, they're like, you know what? His instincts are so on point. We're not going to question anything he's doing.
Yeah,
And then you assume Danny DeVito shows up and plays the Penguin like Louis De Palma, and it's like, hey, come on, I'm trying to steal some money here.
Right, then he'll play it like Burgess Meredith, right? He'll be like a gangster.
Right.
He's done that.
Right, instead of playing it like Klaus Kinski. Like, let's make this the most horrifying character to look at in the history of cinema.
There's a shot in when he first is realizes that he's being put into this campaign where he's just standing in the middle of the office and he's still in his like dirty pajamas,
Holding a fish.
all 3 feet of him
A fish.
with a dead fish. And there's just it's so funny. Like I just burst out laughing.
This movie's a masterpiece.
It's also one of those things where, like, for how much Danny DeVito like made his career playing like the scumbag, he's never actually been sold as menacing in a film.
Sure.
Like when he's the asshole or the villain,
He
it's
played a
always
lot
like
of
kind of a
villains.
joke that he's
Yes.
the villain.
Because he's a tiny guy.
Right.
He's a little person.
They do that in the first episode of Taxi, where he's in his little cage and it's elevated, and he's yelling at them for the whole first half of the episode.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna come talk to you," and gets out of the cage and stands,
And he's little.
the audience applauds.
Right.
And you're like, and that is the last time anyone can ever make that joke. Because now we all know that Danny
DeVito's a short
DeVito
man.
is 4'11".
That is true. But at the time that he's making this, he is a genuine movie star. You know, this is like
Humongous.
Ruthless People, Other People's Money, like
Right.
those kinds of movies, like where Danny DeVito is a leading man, sort of.
Yeah.
As long as he's playing like a very specific type of character.
And when he's a supporting character, the movies are also huge. And he's
Twins,
already
he's done Twins,
humongous.
obviously.
And
right?
he's directed both Throw Mama from the Train and War of the Roses at this point.
and Hoffa is this year.
Right. Okay. And Romancing the Stone. I mean, he's had like a really incredible run for a guy who shouldn't
Very
be a movie
specific.
star.
Very specific type.
There shouldn't be that many roles that fit him.
Tin
in
Men,
theory.
he's great in Tin Men,
Yeah.
the Barry Levinson movie.
This is like a real spread of like different genres, different size roles.
Is this the first time you guys have gotten to talk about DeVito on a podcast?
Well, yes.
Terms of
I
endearment
think-
is a very small part.
oh,
yeah,
right.
that barely counts.
Right.
We will talk about him again on Mars Attacks. Spoiler alert, that's a great discussion.
Yep.
Not about his career so much, more about his specific role there.
And his billing. Dumbo.
Of course, he has Swackhammer in
So he did talk
Space
about
Jam.
Swackhammer, of course.
But apart from that, maybe we haven't really talked about him too much.
Look, you've read the episode description. You know what's going on here, but let me make it clear. Today, we're talking Bartman Returns.
You know, he's back.
And we're talking it with the mother Blankies herself from Night Call and Vulture, Emily Yoshida.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Hell here.
Hell here. This movie does not give a fuck.
This movie is so bizarre.
Batman shows up, 40 minutes in, maybe?
I checked. Batman doesn't have proper dialogue until minute 40.
Because he has that one scene, the fight scene, but that's it. In between 0 and 40.
And he says like one word during that. And then his first real dialogue scene is him eating the soup.
Right.
Minute 40.
The vichyssoise. So I saw this movie before I saw the first Batman movie. I didn't see the first Batman movie for a while. I don't think I saw that till I was a teenager or something. But I saw this on VHS, at a slumber party.
Sure.
Like around the time that it came out. And I did not realize that Michael Keaton ever played Batman for a very long time because I'd only seen this movie. And it was a movie about Catwoman.
Right.
And
Batman's maybe the fourth lead.
And there's a guy that she's like goes on some dates with and kisses at some point.
She kinda
but
flirts
like,
with,
but that I mean, couldn't have been Michael Keaton though. Put it together finally, and then kind of retroactively realized the bizarreness of casting Keaton in this role, which I would argue works better in the first movie than it does in this movie.
I would agree, because the first one is more interested in him as a character. Sure. And when you're not focusing on him as much, it's odd to see Keaton filling what is more of a classic sort of like mannequin leading man role.
Right. He can only be interesting. So if you're making him be boring, what are you doing with him?
Right.
Or if you're making him do nothing in particular.
Everything that's interesting about his character in this movie is just holding on to your memory of what they set up in the first movie.
Right. Sure. But I would even argue, I mean, I like him in the first movie. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna throw this down because
Griffin fucking loves him.
I
like him a lot too.
I know.
He's my number one guy.
And I just listened to your podcast with Cam this morning. And I just don't. The first movie doesn't work for me at all. And
interesting.
I think he is making interesting choices, but those choices would work in a different movie, like a different approach to doing Batman,
like a Batman Returns.
No, actually, like in the opposite direction of Batman Returns. I think
you're saying Keaton's performance. You're saying, right?
So this movie is like getting slapped in the face repeatedly for 2 hours.
Yeah,
and Michael Keaton is like whispering, and you will never hear him over that.
Sure.
I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that I don't like this movie, but I'm saying we all can agree this movie is fucking bananas.
Yes,
and he is not. He is very consciously not doing fucking bananas, even though we know he's capable of that.
So here's a take.
Sure, go ahead.
I think what's interesting about this movie. Look, it's not a fight. I think this movie's a masterpiece. Well, Keaton's my
Griffin
number one
is
guy.
Crying blood.
Sorry.
I think one of the most audacious things about this movie is it essentially puts Batman in, quote unquote, the girlfriend role.
Yes.
Like it is a movie in which Batman is fulfilling the Vicky Vale role.
Yeah.
And it's really about Catwoman and Penguin. Mm-hmm. And Batman is just sort of like a reflection board for the two of them for point of comparison.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Because tell me one thing he does other than that doesn't have to do with her. Like, and this is a good reverse Bechdel test, like for Batman.
No, that's my
movie.
point.
Like,
my point is that he exists like Vicky Vale only to service.
But I don't even think he reflects anything. Like, I think she does everything on her own. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to front load all my takes.
Okay.
But I think that's sort of like, usually the girlfriend in a Batman movie is this like question of like, could he ever have a normal life?
Could he be normal? And in this Batman is Catwoman's normalcy, right? He's like, let's just be regular superheroes.
The idea is like, this is a movie about like traumatic incidents.
She's like, no, pardon me, I'm insane. Like, she like anytime she's like, maybe.
This is
Ben,
a movie
could you just edit out all the times Griffin was shrieking when Emily was criticizing the film? Just
Yes.
bring
I'm
that
like
low.
damp
absolutely.
with
Yes.
tears
Right.
right now.
Yeah,
Can I-
and when a poison gas secreted out of my pores and tried to murder everyone in the studio.
Boy.
Okay.
I think this is a movie about like people reacting differently to traumatic incidents. And so they all exist as like alternate pathways for each other.
Yeah.
In a way, you know?
When the movie is that movie, it is great.
Right?
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
There is a lot of time when it's not being that movie.
This movie's doing a lot of things.
It's doing a lot of things.
It's doing a lot of things.
Yeah. I was, you know, now I feel like I'm in an Ouroboros here because I was just listening to your other conversation about the first one. But I think that the whole thing about the nightmare imagery, especially because this is a movie that I did see young, and then I think I've probably seen 2 or 3 times max now.
Sure.
But I hadn't seen it for a very, very, very long time. And so it did have that thing of, there are things I know are in this movie, but I'm also like not sure if I hallucinated them as a child. It's kind of funny that the first Batman gets talked about as like, oh, like legitimacy, like the legitimacy of superheroes. It's like the first time we kind of dip our toe into that. But it is so camp to me. It is so like the only thing that is not out and out, like still kind of in the Adam West zone for me is Keaton's performance and the set design. Like the production and the fact that everything is brown.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholson is very much like of a piece with what Cesar Romero was doing.
Yeah.
Just a more quote unquote legitimate actor.
And
yes.
I feel like they're like it is
He's
like
a movie star.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty like scale, like a very straight line from this to Batman and Robin
Sure.
in terms of camp.
Yeah.
But there's something about this camp though where it's like it does feel cursed, like it's a cursed or like haunted or something.
What's a Grand Guignol? Like that's the thing is it's like not just like camp for camp's sake. Like it really is trying to like make nightmare imagery. And the weird dream logic of like, what is going on here? Well, I mean, the fact that the villain's plot in this movie is, I'm going to steal all the babies. Yeah. And that's the end game.
Well, wasn't it a thing where they just couldn't, they didn't even think of what his plot would be? Like, they didn't really have an ending.
Right.
Well, there's like the, like kind of semi-Manchurian candidate type thing or something for him.
Right. They have that for a while.
That's actually like the only coherent plot, I would say, that goes through regarding the Penguin. But
I like that he doesn't really. I mean, he wants to be. The Penguin wants to be accepted, and
he wants to meet his parents.
He wants to, and all that. And like, I hate, not hate, but it's very stupid in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which are of course stupid movies in many ways. But where like the Riddler and Two-Face have that moment where we're like, no, we can definitely like mix our philosophies, even though we're very specific. Like I like everything to be a riddle. Like we definitely can run Gotham together. Like, and you're like, what? This would be the worst confederacy of two. And it's a thing in Batman and Robin where Poison Ivy is like, you freeze everything,
right?
And then I'll grow plants out of it. And you're like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's going to be frozen.
Well, that's the other thing with this movie is then like people get this idea of like, oh, you need like two villains.
Two A-list villains, maybe, and then maybe like a sub-villain as well.
Right, but there's a key thing to the fact that like all three of these characters are normal people. Quote unquote, they don't have powers.
Oh, sure, right, yeah.
And even in terms of weaponry,
Penguin is pushing that, but yes, yeah.
Right, I mean, he's a deformed person.
His umbrella.
Right. Which one?
It's supposed to give you a splitting headache.
Which one?
Oh God, I love him.
But they're these three people where it's like Batman witnessed his parents being murdered.
Sure.
The Penguin was given up by his parents. And Catwoman lived through being murdered herself.
By her, she went through like very bad workplace abuse.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that the take on this character is, what if
Catwoman also is just a 90s lady trying to live a single life. And that is trauma enough in this movie.
She's a post.
Oh, can we talk about that for like
Murphy
a full
bed,
hour?
her fucking answering machine.
I was going to say she's Murphy Brown. She's trying to figure out how to make it in this crazy work.
But what's up with like the women in both of these movies having stuffed animals on their beds? Like Vicky Vale has like a teddy bear on her bed in the first Batman. It's like they're actually very, very similar characters in many ways. It's just like
Vicky Vale doesn't get shoved out a window.
Right. And also Selena Kyle hates herself.
Yeah,
Like,
Selena Kyle is more of like a weird flibbertigibbet, like, because her hair is sort of always all over. She always looks so stressed
She's
out.
constantly
Right.
talking to herself. She's got a
Right.
running narrative about how miserable her life
Right.
is.
Right. She does the thing. What's the line she
Running
says if she
narration.
comes home? Yeah.
She's like, oh, I forgot I'm not married.
Right.
Oh, honey,
Right.
I'm home. I forgot. Yeah. That's a really, really great exposition 101.
That's all.
But then-
That I feel like that's classic Daniel Waters
Yeah.
stuff like that. That very arch Heathersy, like, it's okay. We can fuck around and they can behave in ways that don't make sense.
Well, and here's the little bit of context, because this movie kind of is self-evident in terms of how it came to be. Batman's the biggest thing in the world, and they were like, cool, let's do Batman 2.
Right.
And they hire Sam Hamm, I think, to write a more conventional Batman 2. And Burton was very hesitant to do it. He was kind of like, I don't really want to do a sequel to this
Right. I already
thing.
did Batman.
Right, and he got Edward Scissorhands off the ground really quickly. These 3 movies are 3 in a row, right? 3 years in a row.
Yep. 90, 91, 92.
And that's such a personal passion project, like his. Like,
No. 89, 90, 92.
Okay.
Yeah. Go on.
I mean, that's him getting to like.
Yeah, he
fully
does Edward Scissorhands.
serve his
right.
own muses, make his like autobiography, So I think he was kind of like, I don't know, what's there left for me in Batman Returns? And as I hear it, Goober and Peters took a lot of credit for being like, we really reined him in. I mean, Tim would come in with this wackadoo shit, and we put limits on him.
Right. On the first Batman.
Right. You got to have a Robert Wall.
There's the famous story of that Tim Burton couldn't tell Jack Nicholson why Joker goes up the staircase at the end.
Right.
No.
Where Jack Nicholson was like, why am I doing this?
Right.
It makes no sense that I would climb a staircase.
Yeah.
But Goober and Peters
Burton
were
was
like,
they're making me do this.
Right.
I'm sorry.
a film has to end with a tower. Like they were
Literally.
Huh.
They were going through all the motions of like what an 80s blockbuster needed to have, and he was just like, I don't know, I'll just do my shit and I'll serve whatever they want me to do and hope that it turns out okay. He makes Edward Scissorhands, it's pure, to his vision, and it makes a bunch of money, and now it's like, I don't know. But Warner Brothers apparently just kind of came to him and said, look, you can do literally whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
I mean, this is a true blank check where they were like, here's the deal. The fans want to see Penguin and they want to see Catwoman.
Right.
Also, we will not let Billy D. Williams play Two-Face.
Right.
They asked him to, because Max Schreck was written to be
Billy D.
Billy D.
Harvey
Williams.
Dent.
Harvey
Right,
Dent.
right.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, we'll buy him out of his contract. He had a
The
3-picture
end
deal.
when he's getting electrocuted is
That's
supposed
supposed
to
to
be
be the birth of Two-Face.
Right.
And they were like, as
Weird.
long as you rewrite that character so it's not Billy D. Williams anymore, and as long as you include Penguin and Catwoman, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And he does. And America revolts.
Yeah.
It's incredible that they thought that like Christopher Walken would be a more bankable Two-Face than
And
Billy
he's
D.
in like
Williams.
kind of a career slump
Totally.
at this
Yeah.
point.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
and also just like the way that they, I don't know. There's like, it's so, Billy D. Williams is so much more like just like the no-brain appealing choice.
Right.
Smooth,
If you're not
slick.
racist, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, right.
yeah.
That's the only impediment to
Yeah.
seeing Billy D. Williams as
Christopher
Two-Face.
Walken looks like, do you remember that there was like that brand of like learning software where it was like a math forest and stuff, and there's one with like some crazy professor, like a professor math or whatever.
Yeah, yes, he
and
looks like that.
he's got the wild
Yes.
hair,
And
and
the
he looked-
eyebrows.
and the same kind of suit and everything. It's
It's
like that
hysterical
crossed
that
with-
they design him that way, and they're like, of course he's a famed industrialist.
Right,
Like he's a
right.
businessman. He
But-
looks like a mad scientist.
But he's also like a Fantasia of like Donald Trump, like
Yes, he
literally
is,
Donald
100%.
Trump.
Yeah, I mean, this
He is literally Donald Trump.
This is a Trump movie.
It totally
It's impossible to
Trump
deny
has
this.
definitely. I take it back. Cut that out. Go on.
David just said something that is very much not
Treasonous.
slanderous. That we bleeped out for a long time.
I mean, there's the part where the jig is sort of up for the Penguin, and then he's giving. Oh yeah, it's when Bruce Wayne does the remix of the Penguin.
The only moment in this movie I don't like.
I was watching this with my husband.
Humble
I'm not. Sidebar. I'm going to get back to that joke of your guys' in a second.
Okay.
but
Wait, what joke?
The humble brag joke?
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
but
Oh boy.
oh girlfriend, humble brag. But
Well played, 5 comedy.
sorry. But yeah, the scene where he holds up the CD and I think Alfred gives him a thumbs up. David
Yes,
was
and
like
he's playing-
college radio.
Yeah.
Like
Right, he's-
in the house.
Alfred's wearing his cans.
Yeah. Anyway, after that scene, I guess we're going all out of order and doing a bunch of different scenes. But after that one where he then he's outed, everybody's looking at each other.
Everyone
all
knows the
shocked.
Penguin's contempt
Yes.
for society.
The penguin hates Gotham, it turns out, and then he just starts shooting at everybody with his umbrella, and then runs off and jumps into a river. And I just started imagining this being Donald Trump, and I just started giggling uncontrollably. Like it was the stupidest, dumbest, like bad political cartoon you could imagine, and yet I was like hysterical.
But
So
it
Donald
does-
Trump pulls a gun out of his hair, and starts
But
shooting
it's also
everybody.
the waddle, and it's like, everybody hates me.
But it does kind of feel like I saw that scene. I was like, this is probably how things would go down if they like started impeaching him. Right? Like he would just
He
do
would start
this.
shooting people with an umbrella.
Right, and then like run into the sewers.
Jump into the sewer.
That's what he would do.
Back to his penguin friend. It's just incredible.
What's crazy is when he was running,
fucking
everyone was
swear to
like,
God.
this feels like Oswald Cobblepot's campaign.
Were they?
Yeah, people I remember kept saying it where they're like, this feels like
people kept saying it's not like Wolf Blitzer was
Many
like
people were saying this
reminiscent
is
of Cobblepot's famed 1992 campaign
Oh my
for
God.
Gotham mayor.
David is
Breaking
blowing
news.
out the mic so bad.
It's burning this place to the ground.
That was how I did Wolf Blitzer, who now follows me on Twitter, humble brag.
Okay. Wolf Blitzer liked that you gave him Best Supporting Actor. For
I
Mission
wrote his
Impossible
scene up for
Fallout.
Mission Impossible. It's a great scene.
But anyway, you guys can't do the my girlfriend humble brag thing anymore. You're like
I want to be clear
becoming.
that I've never done it. It's
You're
him who does
becoming.
it.
You're becoming that. You're becoming like the whatever CinemaSins podcast or something. Like it's like
What?
it's such a like.
How
Let's
dare
dig
you?
into this. I
That
need to
I
hear this
do not
analysis.
like.
No, I mean, but not that specifically. But
Sure.
like a ain't it cool esque like I haven't slept with anyone in a zillion years. type.
Looks like a bit might be heading to the rafters.
Well, I'm always in favor of retiring bits, to be clear.
Let's be clear. One bit has just been unretired.
That's true.
So there is an open spot in the rafters.
That's true.
Now let's break into this because I did see someone online was trying to say like, I don't get the bit. Can anyone explain it to me?
Right.
The origin of this was I had gone through a breakup. I was very sad.
No,
You were a sad
I
boy.
remember.
And every
this.
time-
I've listened to every single episode.
I know.
of your
No,
guys'
I'm relitigating for the audience, not for you.
Okay.
I'm just setting a table because this is a serious discussion now about whether or not we send this bit up to the rafters.
Okay.
Which I'm not necessarily fighting against.
I'm sorry. I came in today. The mother of
I
Blankies
know.
came in like with some house cleaning
Mama
to do.
of Blankies.
Just killed a bit.
Sometimes mom's got to clean up. She's got to teach her lessons.
The mother's off the leash.
Mom's off the leash. Meow meow. Purr,
Meow.
Mom is off the leash.
Whoa.
Okay, so the initial bit was, oh, now anytime you mention your girlfriend, who you have a lovely relationship with,
Sure.
She's great.
and
We
who
all
you
love
watch a lot of
Joanna.
movies with,
Right. Yeah,
so
sure.
she comes up a
Well,
lot
she's in
because
my house with me.
right, she's invoked a lot.
Right. Yeah.
That I would say humble brag because the idea was I was pretending like you were insulting me by rubbing it in my face.
I understand that. I think there was also just the general
It was
like,
moment
the
time.
joke that like everyone was just saying humble brag too much.
Okay, that was part two of it.
Right,
Part two
right,
was
right.
everyone was using humble brag
It just
incorrectly.
became like a thing where people just say like humble brag when you just sort of said like I
something you were
have
proud
a
of.
job,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So the way I like to, the second like any phrase in pop culture has been strangled to death, I then adopt it.
Yeah,
Much like I have with
that's how
fucks.
I always took the joke.
Right, it
and then
was-
you would just always do it because you love to drive bits into the ground,
Right.
obviously, until
Right.
they like reach the molten core.
Right. So the bit was obviously the genesis of it is the I have a significant other, but it
Sure.
also just applies to any bit of information that is personal.
Right, and now it's more things like where I'll be like, "Yeah, I got pizza the other day," and you're like, "Humble brag," you know, like, yeah.
I say we do an official vote as to whether or not humble brag goes up to the raft.
Well, let's retire it. I don't care.
I'm down to retire
I'm
it.
always down to
Retire
retire
it.
a
We know
bit.
where I
Unanimous.
stand.
Okay.
Yeah, it's retired. Wow,
Thanks,
that's it.
everybody.
Wow, look
I
at it
feel-
up there in the
Well, I'm done.
rafters.
Bye.
That's
You
a
guys can
weird
talk about
verbal
Batman.
tick that's going to be tough for me to break.
Wait, you don't say it.
Well, I began to do it jokingly when he suddenly is like, anyway, I was hanging out with my girlfriend. And I was like, I get to finally
Right,
motherfuck
right,
him.
Oh,
How does your girlfriend, moment of silence, feel about it?
about
You
the,
talking to Griff?
about the bit?
Yeah.
She's never commented on the bit.
Okay.
She listens to the podcast.
Oh, wow.
I don't think she's ever commented on that specifically, because she's commented on many other things
Oh, sure.
that I do on my
Such
What
as,
on
like,
earth?
how does anyone put up with you?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so I'm not in this alone? This is what every one of your relationships is like? With everyone, you know?
Yeah, my girlfriend's opinion is mostly that she can't believe she's been mentioned on this fucking podcast so many times. She hates it.
Yeah. And now that
But
the
it's
bit
too late
has,
now.
now that the bit has officially been retired,
Yeah.
and now that will be known as the bit,
Uh-huh.
the retired bit, because of course all other bits are back in play. I do want to point out how almost in a Max Shrek-like moving of the chess pieces, somehow the bit got retired right when you were starting to be able to use it against me. Ha 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 ha.
All right,
ha.
congratulations.
Okay, Batman Returns.
Yeah, Batman Returns. Look, this movie
Batman
begins as
Returns.
any Batman movie should begin, with a child being thrown
Yeah,
into
into a
the
river.
river right, by Paul Rubens.
A child, no, but before the child is thrown into the river, a child is in a box at Christmas. This is a Christmas movie.
This is a
also.
Christmas
Okay.
movie.
Without a
Such
doubt.
great Christmas movie. And that opening, the Warner Brothers logo with the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the teaser poster was just the logo with the snow, and everyone joked that it was like, oh, this is Batman doing coke. Batman doing coke. He's
Really?
Kook. They said kook.
Batman's doing coke.
Okay, that was the joke. You
That's
were
not my
like 2
joke.
years old when this movie came out, right?
I've dug into the writings of the time. Yes, I was 3 when this movie came out.
Sure.
Still never been
Wait,
able to figure
92?
out how old Griffin is.
I was 4 when this movie came out.
Right, you're the same age as my girlfriend.
Yeah. May her name be respected and honored in this room.
Yeah.
Yes. She doesn't like me to say her name on this podcast, but I've said it many times, so what am I supposed to do about
And of
that?
course,
We could call her
well-
J Train.
Yeah, okay.
The Blankies, I don't mind speaking about my husband on this podcast because the Blankies like did a whole post on the Reddit about us getting married. So I'm like, I guess
it's
that's
public knowledge.
public knowledge
Sure.
now.
It's canon.
Well, to be fair, you also did buy a 4-page spread in the New York Times. I mean, that- you guys are so publicity hungry.
Looking for.
Yeah.
There was a thread of people trying to deduce my girlfriend's identity, which was silly because it's such a fool's errand. Obviously, it's TC14.
Right, exactly. Hottest
You've been
bitch
listening
in
to
the
this
game.
podcast, you know that I'm now finally in a serious committed relationship with TC14. That's the only thing we're going to talk about.
I was 6 years old when this film came out, and
I
I
was
was very aware of it. I was aware of the posters,
Yeah.
and I maybe had even seen
Bat and the
Batman
Cat.
on TV. Yeah, the Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin.
And the Penguin.
And so the first 3 actors I ever heard of were Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, because I just like committed that to memory. I was like, everyone knows that Danny DeVito is the Penguin.
David, can I say something quickly? I'm sorry to disrupt the flow of this episode.
That's fine.
Can I just ask for your permission to say something? Vampire rules.
Permission granted.
Okay. I can't get over how much I love Brooklyn.
You're like me.
We all know that I have spent upwards of probably 7 times what they've paid us for ad reads in Brooklyn and product. They
I
give-
think you have like Brooklyn and carpet. You have like
Correct.
Brooklyn and products they don't make.
Right. My wallpaper is now just Brooklyn and sheets.
Like your dishwasher is somehow made of Brooklyn.
I've gone all in. And they've done a couple things I really like, okay?
Yeah.
They saw I ordered sheets in 2 colors that are now being retired. And they sent an email going, look, if you're looking for Rebecca sheets, well, before we retire them, they're on sale now. Here you go.
Oh, interesting.
And I like that if they see that
That's
you have
nice.
a pattern of ordering something, they give you the heads up. Unfortunately, they didn't realize that color was my 3rd set of sheets.
So are there some new colors coming in?
I think there are. And
Well, I'm
look,
gonna head
honestly,
on
I'm
over.
waiting with bated breath. It's like I'm looking for the announcement of Marvel Phase 4. I can't wait to see what the new Brooklyn line is.
Yeah,
But here's another thing I love about Brooklyn. It speaks to what a good company they are.
Go on.
I ordered a bath mat, and I got it in my new bathroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I went, it's a little big,
Okay.
maybe not the right color for the floor of my bathroom.
Sure.
And what I love about Brooklyn and as a company is that I believe if I say this on air, they will now send me a new bath mat for free. And this is my big gambit.
All right.
So here we are doing an ad for Brooklyn, and I just want to say on the record, God, wouldn't it be so great if Brooklyn and slid into my DMs like Giffield and said, hey, what are the specifications you want for the bath mat? Because I've ordered a lot of product, and I feel silly ordering a second bath mat. But here are some things I can say fundamentally are
just letting them go.
arguably true about Brooklyn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay? Brooklyn works directly with their manufacturers and pass the savings on to you, making luxury bedding without the luxury prices. Finally.
It's true.
Fact. You can finally get 5-star hotel quality sheets easily and without breaking the back. Fact.
It's true.
Sheets don't just feel amazing, but they look great too. Mix and match over 20 plus colors and patterns. Fact. New colors and patterns coming soon. Can't wait.
And they make towels, robes, sleep masks, things like you're saying. They've branched out of sheets.
Right, bath mats, and they have a really good service where if you've done like maybe 10 ads for Brooklinen and literally spent like 2 months rent on Brooklinen products, that maybe they'll give you like one new bath mat for free because you just feel really embarrassed that you ordered the wrong thing.
Well, they're giving an exclusive offer to Blank Check listeners, which is $20 off and free shipping if you use promo code CHECK at brooklinen.com. They're so confident in their product and their sheets, their comforters, their towels, come with a lifetime warranty.
Right, and that's the problem, is this bath mat's never going to fall apart. I'm never going to need to buy a new bath mat because it's high quality. It just doesn't match with the rest of my bathroom.
Well,
the dimensions are wrong.
I think that's fine. It's your fault.
And look, worst case scenario, I'm going to use promo code CHECK, and I'm going to get the discount, and I'm going to give us the bump.
Mm-hmm. The only way to get $20 off and free shipping is to use promo code CHECK at brooklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Promo code CHECK. They really are the best sheets ever.
They are. And God, their bath mat policy is so nice. It's weird. Like, I was so young. I guess I was 3 maybe. But when it came out, I even still had awareness of, like, Catwoman and the Penguin. Not just, like, Batman as a symbol, but that it seemed like a big cultural moment that Catwoman and Penguin were going to be in a movie. That's like, oh, these are like the two like fucking weird iconic
there
ones.
There had been the show, obviously.
Right. Which I don't think I was watching yet. But I remember like literally like on the block of my fucking preschool, there was a pizza parlor that had this poster hanging up.
Sure.
And I would walk by it and it had the same kind of effect on me as like, oh, this is like the store that sells like the scary t-shirts with like the flaming skulls on them, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was like one of those things I'd walk by and kind of like, I was like into how much it upset me.
Yeah. I mean, what was this movie rated?
It's a PG-13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because while it is an upsetting movie, I think for children, watching this back for the first time in probably like 15 years, I would guess, if not more.
Sure.
It's probably more. I was just like so struck by how much it was a movie for children. Like despite being a PG-13
its
movie.
reputation, I think, is it's scary.
It is scary, but it's a movie for like all of the mayhem and action in this movie is something that like could have happened in like a Disney movie.
That's the other thing.
Scary Disney.
I feel like this movie is like a grim fairy tale, and it feels like it's about fears of children. Like the way it deals with scary things feels very much like how children perceive their fears.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it opens with the sound of like a crying infant too, is like very upsetting to hear when you're a child because that's the only like human that could be more helpless than you.
Yeah,
at that point when you're 8 or whatever, and it makes me think of like. It feels like such a off-brand, like so not a Disney move to have depict even the sound, especially the image of a crying child. I think of like Labyrinth, which has a lot of a crying baby in it, which is it feels so dangerous and upsetting when you're a kid to see that because you're like, that baby's really crying.
Right. Yeah.
Like they had to make that baby sad. And I think also, and then the other movie it made me think of was City of Lost Children, which of course like is such a like Burton, like I don't know, it's indebted in many ways. I think, but yeah.
No, I mean it is. There are things in this film that are gory and grotesque, like the nose biting alone.
The nose biting.
The nose biting is
incredible.
the scene that frightened me as a child.
Right.
Yeah. And it was also like the era of everybody like talking about Mike Tyson still too.
Sure.
I feel like, like
I thought it was funny.
It's hilarious.
It's very funny. Ahead of time.
No.
Right. Yeah. Well, also just the guy is funny, where he's just like.
Yeah.
What? He's so.
But that's like another thing that's like scary about it when you're a small child is that they like lull you into the sense of security with like the two of them laughing, and it like, oh, it's just a bit, and then there's a sudden act of violence.
Yeah. And also all the
obviously-
circus imagery and stuff, which you're like, as a
Right.
child, you're like,
Clowns.
well, this must be
Red
for
Triangle
me.
Gang.
But
Right.
then people are biting each other's noses off. And there's this weird sexual energy going on. And it's really hard to know what to think or like what ground to stand on.
And all their costumes are like scary. Like Catwoman looks like a Frankenstein.
Yeah, well, she looks like a Tim Burton illustration.
In the
Like-
comics, what are the difference between Penguin's henchmen and Joker's henchmen?
Well, in the
'Cause they're
comics, the
kind of the
henchman,
same.
the henchman, Jesus.
Yeah.
In the comics, the Penguin is just like a mobster. He's just
Right.
like a mob guy.
Okay.
He's not like trying to run for mayor and
Right.
find his parents. He's just a mobster.
So they kind of flopped those two characters in the movies because they like
right, because
made
the Joker is
into-
kind of a mobster.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, the Joker, of course, we all know he's the clown prince of crime.
He is the
We-
clown
we,
prince
we
of-
know that.
Yeah.
But the Penguin, the idea is he's like, if you got a fat guy in a pinstripe suit,
A wet fat guy.
He's so wet.
He's so wet.
But it's also like
Very damn boy.
gooey.
the Penguin aspect of him feels more indebted to like the Dick Tracy thing, where it's
Right.
like these are not superhuman people; these are just like goons.
Yeah, they're
But
like
they all have like the one
Yeah.
identifying trait where it's like he's rat face, his nose is long,
Yeah.
like a rat. But like the Penguin, like I mean, there would be the things sometimes where it's like, oh, the umbrella has guns in it or whatever.
Yeah, he's got the umbrellas.
There's also the freak show element, which is why his henchmen are all like circus people.
But that's
That-
very
that-
much
that's
key to
this movie.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
adding
yeah.
that. Right.
Because his
yeah, yeah.
henchmen have always been like, sometimes they're just like tough goon enforcers. Sometimes it's like the branding thing where he's got a bunch of guys with like matching emblems.
Yeah.
But this whole idea of him being like, oh, he's like the child of the circus who somehow took over.
it's so many things.
Right.
Weird.
It's actually too many things. I
'Cause
would
it's
argue.
It's a lot of things.
It's like this like Children of Paradise thing.
Mhm.
Sure.
It's also like obviously this movie is very like all of Burton's like German expressionist like this movie like looks like Children of Paradise. It looks like Cabinet of Dr.
Nosferatu.
Caligari. Right. It looks like Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like what you're saying, like fucking Christopher Walken looks so scary in this movie.
He looks insane.
He looks like a ghoul.
He looks like a ghoul.
and
yeah.
he's supposed to be like a normal person.
But he looks like, to speak to Emily's thing, like he looks like a child's version
Right,
of
right.
an evil businessman or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And everyone
But
has
then his
this very
son just looks like an actual, like he looks like Eric Trump.
He's Eric
Yes.
Trump.
Like-
He's just a beefcake.
he's a very large son.
He is a large adult son.
Yeah, he's a
exactly.
large adult
Extremely
son.
large adult son.
And then also this is the first movie to like be postmodern about Christopher Walken being like, you guys ever notice that his voice is
So
weird?
fucking insane.
Right, so before anyone started making Christopher Walken a parody of himself, Christopher Walken's pretty like straightforward in this, but then they have a guy next to him just dunking on him the whole time by being like, what's with this weird guy's fucking weird voice?
Sure.
But he's also doing this Burton thing of like the very like theatrical makeup where it's like the dark circles around the eyes that aren't even pretending to look like something biological.
Right.
It's just a heightening of like creepiness.
Right. Well, it's like what happens when you take a bath in chemicals, I guess. You
Yeah.
like come out looking a little tired.
He's a tie-tie boy.
Yeah, and you go like, Batman, Joker, Catwoman, Penguin are all just like people who have bad things happen to them.
Yeah.
Like Joker was a bad person beforehand.
Sure.
But it's like he lived through this like horrible, like physically scarring
They
accident.
fall into a vat of X.
Right.
I don't feel bad for him.
I don't either.
You don't feel bad for the Joker?
I don't feel bad for the
Con-
Joker.
I think the whole point is what he's really into is like how people cope with trauma, right?
Right.
And like a person who's already bad becomes worse. Batman in this obsessive way that is just a coping mechanism becomes good, question mark. I mean, he's presented as the good guy.
Yeah.
Catwoman is like dangling on the side and like the Penguin decides to just like fully own the idea of being hated and grotesque in a totally like vindictive way. But I think the key to this movie is like, this is the movie after Edward Scissorhands, which is so sort of didactic in this, like, I'm Tim Burton, I feel weird. I feel like the Scissor Man in a town of normal, happy people. And some of them are nice, and some of them are mean, but I feel like I'm a different species and I don't belong here. And this is the movie that's him being like, is there such a thing as a normal person? Like, I think this is a movie about the concept of there being a quote-unquote normal person. I keep on using quote-unquote. But, like Michael Murphy, who is like the most normal actor alive, a dude I love, but like who Robert Altman used as like, this guy is just like so straightforward. He is so solid. He's like really like unthreateningly.
He plays the mayor in this
Right,
movie.
like charming and handsome and steady and intelligent and all of that. and he plays the mayor, and then he is just completely enveloped by all these like lunatics,
Right.
and like freaks who are all fighting about what the right way to be weird is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, how to use your freakiness for ill or good or
Right.
whatever.
Right. And
Yeah.
Shrek is like ultimately the main villain because he's the one who's like gaining from all of their infighting.
Sure.
Like he's the one who's like playing this all.
Yeah, he's
and no one's
poisoning the city.
noticing that he's getting away with everything
It's
at the expense of the citizens.
It's very funny that this movie is ultimately right. Like just about a guy who's trying to chisel money from the city and build a power plant.
Yeah.
Like it's a very
Yeah.
mundane scheme.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the penguin's like, I'll kill the firstborns. And you're like, yeah, go ahead. Kill all the firstborns. Yeah, deal with that. But like Max Shrek, meanwhile, is just, yeah.
It's like I can stoke the fears of the people until it benefits me more and more
Sure,
and more and
yeah,
more.
he's-
Right.
Which is like a very, I think, I wish that there were more superhero movies that kind of played with that.
Yes.
Like, let the fight between the superheroes be this sort of, it's more personal then.
And
It's not
ideological,
yeah,
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like, it makes sense. Like, you don't have to do some huge, like, end of the world leap of logic about anything. Like, that could, if people had insane powers or got regularly dumped in vats of chemicals.
And what if both their moms had the same name?
I mean, I can't
we're
even
not
imagine
doing
how
that.
people would process that. I
Do you
can't
think
even
that
imagine.
would? Do you think that would work?
I think Ben hates this movie.
Wait, Ben, how do you know that name?
Wait, what?
You don't like Batman Returns?
Do you not like Batman Returns?
All right, guys.
Dig in.
It's gonna come clean.
Okay.
I hadn't seen this since I think the first time I saw it.
Okay.
It's been that long.
92.
On a porch somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe not. But as a child.
As a child, yes. I found it boring, kind of.
Really?
And
It's not a boring movie, I gotta tell you.
I
That's
know,
the
but
one
I
word
just-
I'm surprised to hear you
I
use.
found it boring.
Wow.
I don't know.
You know, there's like penguins in this movie and shit. And like,
I know, and it's silly and all that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was about it. I would say the only thing that I really liked is sewer penguins, and that there's no real justification for it, but I like got on board of
The
that.
justification is it's like the zoo, right?
The
That's
zoo
the only
closed down.
justification, right?
Because of chemicals.
But I like that. That is the thing that
Fucking
for me
chemicals.
is good.
Right.
Well,
How did not every child who saw this movie, and I believe every child of our generation did see this movie.
sure.
Yeah.
How did we just not run like DuPont and everything out of town when we became voting citizens? Like we've been raised to fear chemical plants so
It's true.
badly.
It's
also
true.
Sonic the Hedgehog, like
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully. Why are we not more woke about these?
Well, that's-
Because we associate it with, we're like, wow, that's kid stuff. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So there's not really a man made of a cloud of chemicals who's terrorizing the last rainforest.
Right.
What's his name again?
The Tim Curry character?
Yeah, the villain of
I
Fern
forget.
Gully.
Look it up, David. No, that is the other key piece to this movie ending up as insane as it is, and we've mentioned him offhandedly, is Daniel Waters, who wrote Heathers, which was this like spec Hexus.
That's his name.
Hexus? Oh, in Fern Gully?
Yeah, baby.
I haven't seen that in a second.
He's pretty cool. He's a fucking cloud of
my
gas
God.
with a mean face.
Who are your favorite Cloud villains? If you had to rank Galactus
The
Cloud,
Nothing.
the Nothing, Hexus, Parallax, and Green Lantern.
These
There's so
are a
many
lot of
great
bad villains.
Cloud villains.
Are they great?
Yeah, all the great Cloudmen. What I was
Wait,
going to say is
Go ahead, please.
Heathers, which
Yeah,
was
Heathers.
like this
Great
sort of
movie.
like lightning rod spec script that Daniel Waters like was like, I'm not gonna sell the rights because I will only let this movie be directed by Stanley Kubrick. That
Yep.
was his stance when he wrote it.
Yep.
And it's this movie where he poured like all of his fucking anger in the world into like one script that's like this very odd, like it's tangenty, overstuffed.
It is the most Baroque of the teen
Yes,
comedies.
certainly.
Yeah.
I think there. And I was talking about this for other reasons. I was just like, I feel like the last one that was really allowed to be that written,
Mhm.
you know, was Cruel Intentions, one of my
It's true,
favorite
right.
movies. But like, it
Love that
has
movie.
that same thing where it's like every line is a line.
Yeah, where you say
Somebody
no
wrote
one
that.
talks this way.
Yeah.
These aren't even remotely
Yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah.
But like, who cares?
It
Right.
happens more in TV now, I feel like.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but yeah. And so when I remembered that he had done this too, I was just like, it works slightly differently when you have Danny DeVito just yelling all of those extremely written lines. For example, blast your erogenous zone sky high. I mean, you can imagine one of the Heathers saying that.
Sure. And what you're saying is it works differently in that this time it works perfectly.
Yes, exactly.
No,
Yeah.
it is just, it's such a weird choice. It's someone they would never let near a film like this today. And he was just allowed to pick whoever the fuck he wanted. And Sam Hamm had written this Batman 2 script that was more conventional. He still gets a story credit, I think, just because of a couple elements.
Yeah.
But this really was a movie that was like written by one person who was not someone who ever worked within the studio system again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I think because of this. And it's also a film that is like, what you're saying about how you wish more superhero movies were like this. It's like it has no conventional narrative structure.
No.
Like it's not building towards the same sort of inciting events or conflicts. It's just like a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I found myself just
Right.
being distracted. I mean,
Yeah.
most of this movie just was like looking at my phone
Well, because
and
it's
just like
too much stuff.
I just couldn't. I
There's
could
no
not.
through line to follow in it.
Yeah.
But I have the bigger problem with that because at least when there's no through line to follow in Batman Returns, something insane is going on screen. Like there's some, like penguins are wearing hats or
Right,
whatever.
correct.
Yes.
And in Batman 1, I feel like there are moments, very long periods of time where I have no idea what is happening. They're just letting Nicholson run, and
Yeah,
they
they just
aren't
give him a
cutting a
scene to-
single second of his performance. I don't think, and that's when I really start to wonder because I'm like, what are we doing again? Why are we here? But
mean-
there are scenes like that in this movie. I don't know.
At this point, it will have been last week's episode, but David, you and I just got out of Glass. Like we saw advanced screening of Glass.
Yeah,
we
we're a
came
couple
right
of
here
glass
to
holes.
record,
Mhm.
and we're a couple glass holes here. We just saw a Glasterpiece.
Have you seen Glass?
I didn't go. Today was the first screening, I believe.
You haven't broken the glass yet.
I'm not. I haven't seen any of these new.
The Shyamalan.
I haven't seen the Shyamalan songs.
The Blumhouse.
I'm not
Shams.
necessarily here for it, but whatever. I'm glad you guys have had a good time.
Wow.
I mean, I was
Wait, did you like it?
It's great.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
not.
no
a
one
fan
else likes it. To
of
be clear,
Splits.
I like Split.
I don't like Splits.
Split's great.
And this really worked for me, but I will say I think there's a commonality between Batman Returns and Glass in terms of like these two guys being like, cool, I could do anything I want to do.
Yes.
I'm just going to make a movie that's sort of like a freewheeling, like free associative essay on the idea of heroes and villains and whether those archetypes mean anything and how society is trying to rein us in. And just work against every fucking expectation of what this movie should be or how a movie works.
Okay, let's talk about Batman Returns. Let's talk about Batman Returns.
But I think my point here is they both come out of that sort of like, now you have a brand, you have a director who has a...
I get that he's off the leash.
track record of success.
We've made
Right.
that clear.
Yeah.
Yes. He got to do whatever he wanted. He made Batman.
Yeah,
The man made Batman.
yeah,
He gets to do whatever he wants.
right. And he
Yes.
gets to do it with Batman, which is the crazy
Right. Well, not
thing.
only that, they want him to do whatever he wants because
Yeah.
it worked last time.
And it keeps on getting bigger, and people love this Burton thing, whatever the fuck it is.
He made a Scissor Man movie, and
Yeah.
that did well.
People thought it was romantic.
Teenagers thought
Right.
it was romantic.
At this
it was
point,
like
no
a
one
teen idol movie.
Can make sense of why he's connecting.
Sure. Yeah. Well, go on, Emily. Hit me.
No, I was just thinking about Edward Scissorhands, which I haven't seen in a long time. But I was kind of thinking about this is a theory that I have, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't really back it up, and I certainly haven't seen enough of Tim Burton's later movies to really be able to back it up.
You haven't peregrined yet?
I have not peregrined.
You're not one of the extraordinary children?
A peculiar children.
I have very
Whatever.
small eyes.
Your eyes are small. Your shadows are light. You've never been to Wonderland.
I
went
wonder.
to your wedding. You were a regular bride, not a corpse
No,
bride.
I'm very much alive.
Your weenie is unfrankened.
Okay, please cut that.
Al Frankenweenie. Is that anything, Al Frankenweenie?
It's got to go.
Is that a thing?
Sure. But I have a theory that Tim Burton perhaps understands women the least of any
people.
I don't know if that's a
person?
theory. I think that's written in the sky. Like, yes, 100%.
But I think it's Waters that so Catwoman is an incredible character, and I think she's become like this sort of it-me icon for a lot
Very
of
much
like
so,
women who have grown up, who saw her as a child, and then
People
are like,
our
oh,
age.
now I get what she was going through in that. But it is I think the only reason it works on that level is because of Waters and Pfeiffer, obviously. But I think that's why it feels remarkable in this movie, because I can't think of another time you had like a female character, even in a really heightened sense, who felt like a person. Like,
I disagree with you. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice to me is the
kind of.
I think
Winona and Beetlejuice.
I think that's
she's
the
I
other
think
one.
she's great. I think she's great in it, but I feel
That's
like.
I also think Gina Davis.
But
in
also,
Beetlejuice.
she's a
good.
girl. Like
she's a girl.
She's
she's
a
a girl. But she's a
and
pretty.
I think it's easier to write like a kid or an adolescent versus like a woman.
But I know. But I love Catherine O'Hara and Beetlejuice. Like Beetlejuice
she's
to me is the one that beats it.
Okay.
I love Beetlejuice.
Okay, I mean that's fair, but that's why this was a theory. But
Well, but everything else, it's not a
I
theory.
agree with
It's
all other
fact.
Burton movies.
Like if you look at like Ed Wood, which is a movie I adore.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's a
I
wonderful movie, but it doesn't really have any women of like
right.
dimension in it.
Sarah Jessica Parker is like a shrew.
She's just
And
there to
Patricia
rain on
Arquette
the
is
party.
an unrealistic saint.
She's like a Mary Sue. She's like a nice,
person.
right?
She's Winona and Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
Yeah, and
It's
Winona and
right.
Scissorhands, which was written by a woman, but is
a beautiful
a little
ice
angel.
sculpture.
And they're always
Yeah.
blonde. Like I don't know. I feel like this is the thing. It's like little corpse boy, Lord of Darkness.
Right.
Tim Burton is like, how can I communicate how I don't understand women? I'll make them all blonde and like angelic and
Willowy,
the opposite of
sure.
and I don't know. I mean, I'm the same as you guys. I went through a very long period of like really being into Burton, especially that early stuff. I like had Burton on Burton. It was like one of the first film books I ever read. Like, was really into all that. But I think the tough points have become more clear to me. I mean, and besides just the one like the common accusations of whatever, it's all just Lux, and it's just like kind of a shtick that he's just playing with over and over and over again. Like that, I don't care about as much. But I think that there are parts where his unwillingness to engage with humanity is more of a problem than it is at other times.
Well, right. And then I think, and we'll talk about it more and more, but the budgets and the CGI just get him further and further away from it. You know, that's an issue.
Right. Like this is his last fully tactile movie of this size.
I guess so. Sleepy Hollow is a little tactile.
Yeah, because more half and half. Mars Attacks, all the aliens are CGI.
I remember liking Sweeney Todd, but
Sweeney Todd's great.
I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it in the theaters, and then that's it.
Yeah. I like Sweeney Todd a lot, but that's also a very CGI movie. I mean, he wanted to do that 300 style with no sets, and instead it's like a couple.
It's got some
rooms.
sets, but that's a good movie. But it's working with a story that's not his
material.
own. Right?
Yeah. I see. For me, what I like about this film is I think this feels like maybe the only one of his movies where he's trying to figure out his own obsessions. Like this feels to me like maybe the only one of his movies where he's not just like jamming on his fetishes.
Right.
And he's trying to maybe get to the core.
It is very much like just somebody sitting on the couch, like talking to their analyst.
Right.
And like, I mean an analyst and not like a therapist.
Right.
Let's draw symbols out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because rather than like the Edward Scissorhand model of the Burton film where it's just like, poor me, I'm the victim. You don't get how sad and lonely I am. Let me make a movie about how I'm the noble hero.
He made it. That's like the epitome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He made Hot Topic, the movie. I mean, and they're ripping him off or whatever, but like, it's the text for so much.
But then people go back to him now and they go, here's a script. It's perfect for you. It's about an outsider who the world doesn't understand.
Right.
Whereas this movie is just like, no one feels good, right?
No. Right. No, except maybe the mayor, as you say.
Right, and he's like dissecting different sides of how these people end up in these ways.
I mean, it is.
But then the mayor, there's that great thing where like Michael Murphy starts complaining about Max Schreck and how much he hates him, what an insincere bastard he is.
Yeah,
and it's just like, well, if you're so virtuous, then why the fuck are you like sitting in this guy's pocket? like everyone's either lying to themselves or to somebody else.
Yeah, you know, Grant Morrison has this rant that he went on, the comic book writer, where he's like, Gotham makes no sense. It's stupid.
Yeah.
The city makes no sense. Who would live there?
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's like overrun with crazy supervillains and gangsters.
So
and
many alleys.
Yeah.
It's all alleys, right?
Right.
And so when I think he was writing Batman, he was like, I'm trying to make Gotham seem like a real place because it's insane.
Right.
But I don't think that. Anytime I watch the movies, I'm like, man, if I was like 22, I'd be like, I'm going to live in Gotham. Like, Gotham's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the place you live and you're like, hey, man, like I did it. I lived in Gotham.
Right.
Also, she
It's
has
Bushwick.
a nice apartment.
She's got a nice apartment. The Murphy bed, I don't think she even needs.
She's got,
it could
like-
just be on the floor.
She's got some neon art. Like, she's like doing okay. And
Yeah.
many cats.
Hell here.
Can we talk about
The plot of Batman Returns?
Yeah, but also this whole weird thing.
How?
Of, yeah, no, because it is this,
Basics.
Sure.
Catwoman in the comics has always just been a lady who dresses up like a cat.
She is a cat burglar.
Right. It's just
Right.
her branding.
Yeah,
is
they
the
went
cat
back
thing.
to that for Anne Hathaway, too, which is boring.
Yes.
Well, I like Anne Hathaway in those movies, but
I think good
obviously
performance,
those
yes.
Nolan movies are right. Everyone's
Right.
got to be a person.
And super literal.
Yeah.
But they're not even, whatever.
You can, I mean, it's not a good movie
Yeah.
in particular. I think Anne is fun in that movie.
Sure, she's fun.
Annie
She's
gives
fun.
gives good performance in that movie.
Yeah.
But I think this is his weird, like, I think this is one of the things I would find very upsetting as a child when I watched this movie. And once again, in the, like, you know, the reason why children's stories used to be scary, because kids like to be scared. They want to grapple with these things that seem too big to comprehend. The idea that she is someone who literally survives being murdered.
Right.
That she's not someone who survives a murder attempt.
Right.
That she fully dies and comes back to life and is just
cat slicker.
right. And now
Cats lick her a lot.
right. And there's not even any attempt to make any literal sense of that.
I know.
But this is the thing.
It freaked me out when I
this
was
is
a kid.
this
Go
is
on.
the thing that's incredible about it now is like she's thrown out the window by her boss,
Right.
who was also like verbally abusive to her.
Right. Because she spoke up and he started to think she might be a threat to his status.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she knew about the chemical plant not being
Yeah.
a chemical plant or whatever. But when she comes back and then they like, you know, it's kind of great. They do the whole coming back to the apartment thing again. This time with her as this corpse bride,
Zombie,
basically.
yeah.
Hell here. She drinks her milk.
Right. She drinks her milk, which is, I mean, this whole sequence, I feel like I've watched more times than the rest of the movie because I feel like they have the clip of it online and it's just like, it's just very, very fun. But the thing that makes her snap and not just be undead is hearing the message like on her machine that's an advertisement for perfume that's saying, if you wear this perfume, like your boss might invite you on like a sexy date. And then that's when she screams and like
Right. Realizes
gets out
she
her
was
sewing
murdered.
machine
Right,
and is
yeah.
like, I'm gonna sew really hard.
I do love that she gets out her sewing machine.
but
It's
that's
funny,
the
this
thing.
movie's like, we don't have to explain how she came back to life. We do have to explain that she sewed her own costume.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
that explained.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
No, but I think that feels more real. Like the moment, even though she's like a woman who was brought back to life by cats licking her, that the thing of her snapping because of this dumb ad feels that is a moment of reality. I think in this otherwise, it's like the rest of the sequence again was watching with my husband. He was going in and out, but he's like, wait, what? Why is she doing this?
Yeah.
What's going on? He had missed the part with the message, the message recording and everything. But it is as an actor, I imagine you would be like, what's my motivation in this exact moment?
Hey, Ted.
Yeah. It's, but I don't know. I really appreciated that bit.
Well, I think that's sort of the key to the whole thing is like, you know, she's this person who was like miserable, felt like a failure.
Also hated herself. Like
Hated
I
herself.
think
Self-hating.
that's important because that feels different. That makes her character immediately feel different within the context of a superhero movie than not only anybody up until that point, but honestly, like since then.
Right.
When is the last person in a superhero movie who like hates themselves?
Never happens. Villains are
doesn't-
always like joyous in their like miserableness.
Yeah.
Sure,
And the heroes, even if like it's Peter Parker who's like, oh, good date. Like he
What's he like?
Gene, oh, I want to date some girl.
You're telling me Peter Parker wants to date a girl?
What is it? Spoilers for the
Guy's
next
a
Spider-Man
fucking
movie.
twisted perv.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there's never that issue of self-doubt is you never have the space or the real estate to explore.
And not just self-doubt, but someone who actively hates themselves.
Yes.
Now, a lot of that is, I think, I mean, it's very telling the things she says where like, honey, I'm home. All right, if I had anyone to come home to.
Right.
She hates herself because she feels like she's failing against the model of what a woman should be as society's selling it to her.
Because it's the early 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
And the perfume ad and the
Yeah,
boss wanting you,
exactly.
all these things, she
But
feels
even
like...
besides that, she hates herself on like this is maybe I'm just like putting my cards out here too much. But like she like the first thing we see her do is where she's said something like they're in the meeting and she's pouring the tea or whatever, and as soon as they leave, she just starts like making fun of everything she just said in that scene. Like, oh, I hope you like, you're just like self-mocking in a way that's like, again, like that's dark.
Yeah.
Like that's a dark thing to see somebody do. And you definitely almost never see that happen, even with a person who's bad or sad in a superhero movie. Like,
I guess my read is just that all the things she's criticizing herself, being so hard on herself for doing, are a failure to be whatever she thinks she should be.
Yeah.
That's a stupid thing to say. I should have said this instead. This is what my home life should be like. This is what my work life should be like. Mm-hmm. This is how I should be. And then after she is literally murdered, she's just like, I don't know, nothing fucking matters anymore.
Right.
Like
she's liberated.
Nothing matters.
Right. She's murdered, and then here's an ad telling her that she's not wearing the right perfume.
Yeah.
And that's just like, fuck all of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I literally got murdered trying to be whatever you're asking me to be.
Right. And then they add in this weird 9 lives thing.
Sure.
Where it becomes like, cool, I could just die 9 more times, so let me do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
You know? She becomes like a nihilist and a hedonist and is just trying to like live the best version of her life.
Yeah.
Which is being a weird Frankenstein cat lady.
Sure. She likes cats.
She goes back to work.
She goes back to work.
Why?
Which I love.
To fuck with Max Shrek.
Yeah.
She wants to spook him.
That's a joy. That's a joy for her.
Spooking him. Because he's like, Selena, I can't do.
You must have forgotten what happened to you. Yeah.
I think he says, Selena, wow.
Wow, is Christopher Walken?
Cat woman. The guy's a penguin.
Is Kevin Pollak here?
Batman.
Now, while that's all happening,
Like Christopher Walken is slipping into Randy Newman very quickly.
yes, he is.
You've got a friend in me.
She's got a friend in Oswald Cobblepot.
She does.
Who's a flippered man.
Unlikely allies.
He's a flipper man who was thrown into the sewers, and he ended up, of course, in the abandoned zoo
They were
portion
both
of the
thrown.
sewers.
That all rivers lead to the abandoned zoo.
With all those hydraulic lifts that rise squarely.
I gotta
to
say,
the-
someone on the Reddit said this, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, I love that Burton has so much respect for the long opening credit sequence.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prominent credits for everybody. He loves it. Nothing's happening on screen.
And also
Yes.
setting a tone. I mean, he knows he's got
Yes,
like
the
good
music,
Elfman
obviously, big
themes.
overture.
Yeah.
great,
Well, that feels
great score.
like, I mean, all most of the superhero movies now have that, though. They have like a.
Oh no, most superhero movies do it at the end because you need to have your mid
That's
credit
true.
scene.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they have them at the beginning. They have I think they do them at the beginning for the X-Men movies.
Yes,
Because
they
it's
do.
like
does
going
that
through
crazy.
the
Well, 'cause
DNA.
I mean,
and
X-Men,
shit,
is
like,
it Apocalypse that has the time tunnel with
Yes.
the swastikas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Apocalypse?
And,
Oh, you
and
mean-
it blows apart. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The swastika that appears on screen
Oh,
when it
God.
says 20th Century
Yeah.
Fox.
yeah.
It's immediately a swastika.
I forgot
that's
about that. That's so incredible.
Ding dong.
Oh.
Ding dong. Ding
Oh,
dong.
the door.
Sorry,
Okay.
Emily. I have to. Hello, boys.
Hey.
It's me, Larry Bird, NBA legend, Larry Bird.
Whoa.
From the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Larry Legend.
Perhaps you've noticed the pep in my step.
Yeah, no, you do seem oddly cheerful.
I'm filled with joy. I'm a joy bird today because I love this new furniture.
You're talking about like Joybird.com. You're talking about Joybird.
Unbelievable.
Larry Bird talking Joybird.
I can't
on Blank
stop.
Check Bird.
I can't stop screaming about this. Ben, sorry if I'm blowing out the mic.
Yeah, Ben, can you adjust his mics?
Yeah, it's no problem, Larry. Big fan.
Rocking the house over
God,
here.
he's doing like a full Tom Cruise on Oprah over here.
He's jumping on his Joybird sofa.
Oh, Joybird, how I love thee. Let me count the ways. With Joybird, you get one-of-a-kind furniture made to your unique taste.
Okay, that's true.
You get to turn your ideas into reality with hundreds of styles and options. God, he's got like this fire in his eyes. He looks like he's going to turn violent with joy.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm excited too.
From mid-century modern to contemporary classics, customizable and amazing array of fabric choices. From rich, buttery leather, plush velvets to every color imaginable. He looks like turned on, like he's getting like
I'm looking at a leather thing
eroticized here. He's rubbing himself as he says this. Wide range of kid and pet-friendly upholstery options available.
That's right. Yeah. So couches that won't be damaged so easily.
Plus free personal design consultants to help nail down your perfect design. I'm losing my mind here.
Well, Larry, can I tell you something?
Yeah, sure, David.
They have a 365. Whoa, calm down. Let me get the sentence out.
Are you kidding me?
A 365-day home trial where you can bring the showroom home. You can skip the furniture store, sit on it, sleep on it, break it in. If you don't love it, in 1 year, you can return it for a full refund.
God, Larry just pulled a flamethrower out.
Hey,
Larry, this half of this office is not flame-proof.
365 days, that's a year.
Yes, it's a hassle-free in-home delivery that will remove all the packing materials for you, and it's free returns within 2 weeks of delivery.
I'm just as happy about owning Joybird products as I'm sure Joybird is about hiring me, the very charismatic Larry Bird, to be their spokesperson.
Larry Legend. 3-time MVP, I believe.
Wait, so you were officially hired? No, I'm just looking for a sponsorship.
I love it when you talk to the Ding Dong guests.
Griffin. Of course. What do you mean? I mean, I used to get intimidated, starstruck, but now, of course, I'll talk to Larry. Larry, I love your work in Space Jam. Thank you. I really put my heart and soul into that one.
He's not white. He's clear.
That's a great joke. Bill came up with that on set.
So you can see how Joybird is revolutionizing online furniture shopping. You can create the furniture that brings you joy today at joybird.com/blank.
I'm jumping for joy.
You just go to joybird.com/blank and get an exclusive offer for 25% off your first order using the code blank. Joybird.com/blank.
Larry's not blank. He's clear.
Thanks, Larry.
Anytime.
So the Penguin, yeah, he ended up in the sewers. He's been chilling out there for, what do we figure, 30 years, 20 years?
They say 33 years.
I thought it was like 15.
I just love that
I am
thing.
the same age as the Penguin.
Yeah, right.
So
I'm 32. I'm getting to Penguin.
We are
I'll
both-
be Penguin aged in about 4 months.
we are penguin age together, Emily.
yeah, Penguin and Jesus.
Oh, right.
Well, that's there's the
This is our
Moses kind
Jesus
of thing.
year.
No, it's totally a Moses.
He's a
thing.
Moses.
Him going down the trash river. He's like Bizarro Moses.
And the opening of the movie is all Max Shrek, which I'm sure audiences were like, I can't wait for Batman Returns. The first 10 minutes,
Right.
Max Shrek.
Yeah.
Right. It's Christopher Walken having board meetings
You're right.
against Michael Murphy as the mayor.
Is there a reason that their mascot is like a Felix the Cat
I have
logo
no
besides
idea.
the fact that she's going to be Catwoman?
I have no
believe
idea,
that
but
is
it's
the
so
only
great.
reason. Yeah.
I love
it's
it.
very
Yeah.
strange.
Yes.
So great.
Yes, it's great. You don't like it?
You didn't like
No.
Fair enough.
He hates the
it? I mean, God say I can't argue with that
Imagine
logic.
if like General Electric was like, our logo should be a revolving cat head statue that's like perpetually
to be fair,
grinning.
Our logo should be whatever superhero the assistant to our CEO is
Will
going to
turn
be.
into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Right.
saw
yeah.
this Asbury Park character. Let's make it a cat, but as gruesome. Let's make that our brand.
You're right. Sort of a Coney Island freak kind of logo.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's great. Anyway, so Max Shrek gets kidnapped and then Penguin's down there and he's like, of course, I look at everyone's poop and so I know everything about you.
I also am a millionaire, apparently, from being a sewer man. That's crazy.
Money works differently in the sewers, Ben.
find
You should,
money
you
in the
should know
sewer.
this.
I just love
I'm a
that
ditch boy.
that's
I'm not a sewer
that's
man.
the opening gambit.
Very different.
Well, and also the opening of this movie is like fully aligning itself with Penguin in the way the first one does with Batman.
Well,
Yeah.
it makes you think that you're watching a movie about the Penguin. For
Right.
the first, yeah.
kind of are.
Yeah.
And then
And-
it is more of a Catwoman movie the latter half. It is never a Batman
No,
movie.
no. But they mirror the thing in the beginning of the first Batman where they're all the newspaper headlines where they're like, is this true? Half
Right.
bat, half man?
Right.
Like there's this sense that people have been whispering about the Penguin and
Yeah.
they don't know whether or not there's like any fact to it.
Right.
And rather than it being like an embellished version of the real guy's 10 times worse than what they're thinking about.
He does look like the sketch of
Right.
the Batman. Yeah.
Right. The circus found his baby bassinet.
Yes.
Right. And they raised him to be a sideshow attraction.
Right.
And then he sort of convinced
smarty
them all
pants.
to move to the sewer with him and lead an uprising because he wants
Obviously.
to know his bloodline. He wants to know
Yeah.
where he came from.
He needs a crew in order to help him find out who his mom and dad were.
Right.
You know what the best part of this movie is? It's just the Penguin sitting in the Hall of
Just
Records
reading
books.
birth certificates.
And Batman, Batman looking through the window, like
Being like, what the fuck?
Christmas Eve,
Oh,
and you're like
I won't
licking a
bother.
quill pen. And,
I mean, he's at the library. I won't disturb him.
I
Yeah,
love
right.
the Penguin so much.
the best.
Just imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
imagine now.
Both of them should have won Oscars. For
Oh
this.
God!
So-
So Shrek helps him find his
He
parents.
kind of blackmails Shrek
Well,
because
he-
he's got the reconstructed, shredded papers.
Right.
A lot of tape and you know, and spare time. Like right, like that's yeah. I guess Selina's sort of in the background. Batman's done nothing.
No.
And then
No,
there's that
nothing.
scene like 20 minutes in when the Red Triangle Gang is doing something when they, you know, where Pat Hingle's like, turn on the signal.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see the signal and you see the shot that
Right.
we love. We both love so much. of
But the background on my phone.
Yeah.
Michael
which is-
Keaton just has been sitting, Bruce Wayne has been sitting in a chair just
Yeah.
waiting for the
He has
signal.
nothing else.
And the lights are off in the
he's
house.
an empty vessel of a human
And he
being.
finally sees, he's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
I get to go. Yes.
But that's minute 15.
right.
Batman proper enters minute 20. Then
he,
you
like,
have him
punches a couple
fighting some of the
people,
guys.
right, yeah.
And he says one word when Commissioner Gordon is like, where are you going? And he's like, elsewhere. Like he says like, like whatever. I counted. There's
Bathroom.
literally, he says one word.
Yeah.
Then you have a couple more scenes of like quick glimpses of like him sitting at a computer looking at something, not saying anything. And at minute 40, he's like, Alfred, what's up with this? This is cold. And the first line that Batman says in his own movie is
that the
just
Vichy
complaining
Swaz is
about
cold?
It's
Yes.
a vichyssoise. It's supposed to be cold.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
I
He
mean-
and Alfred keep on relitigating the first movie, which I love.
Also, they like go into Vicky Vale in a way that I don't feel like they need to. Like,
Right.
I mean, I guess the last shot of the first movie when she's like, "Oh, I guess he's never gonna come meet me in the cab," like that was the end of their relationship. But
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
But then the other thing is that like that's like the one piece of real fan service is that like everyone fucking complained about the fact that Alfred let Vicky Vale into the Batcave.
right.
So they felt
Right.
like, Tim, there's only one thing you need to address in this movie.
Right.
Otherwise,
Wait, are you
audiences
being
are going to be.
serious?
Yeah, fans were like so fucking angry
Really?
about that. Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Alfred
but
would never do that. Like, it's his job to like protect the sanctity and the secrecy of the Batcave.
he really likes Vicky.
He does like Vicky. He thinks
Right.
she's a nice lady. She
Yeah.
is a nice
You
lady.
can never trust a girl. Alfred's a fucking cock. Like,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
like
this is what
people
fans
were
were
like
saying.
protesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. In the streets?
Yeah, I remember because I was 4 months old.
Your parents took you to a Batman protest rally and
Yeah.
made a clever sign for you
My
and
dad,
put it on Instagram.
I'll tell you, if anyone was furious about Vicky Vale being allowed
do
into the
your dad.
Batcave.
Do your dad.
Griff, I mean, this is unbelievable. Do you see that? Alfred let Vicky Vale into the Bat. I mean, what are these guys thinking? If my dad was
God,
famous,
I love
I would
your dad.
be on Mad TV.
It's so true.
Griff,
I wish
think
your dad
this
was
guy-
president.
I mean, that is unbelievable.
I love your dad. What was I going to say? So yeah, and then Selena gets shoved out a window, turns into Catwoman. All right, and then is there any more plot?
And the plot is it's all these people like bouncing
There's the
off
mayor
each
plot.
other.
There's I guess that's the sort of spine of the story.
But then there's also Bruce Wayne falling in love with Selena Kyle,
Mhm.
I guess.
Oh, I guess so.
That's the only other thing he does in this movie.
Yes.
Like,
I like
much.
that they suss each other out pretty quickly. That
Yeah.
scene at the Shrek ball
mhm.
where they just look at each other and they're like, oh, yeah, right, of course.
Right.
Obviously.
Shrek.
Shrek.
Like the
It's
movie.
great to say the name Shrek a lot.
Jesus. His offices
Donkey.
look like the outside of a Shake Shack.
Is that your
Shrek?
notes?
Are you about to
Oh,
show
yes.
us something? You got
No,
your phone
yeah,
up.
this
No,
the
it's my
Shrek
notes.
department store.
Yeah.
Yep.
You mean Shake Shack?
Yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Shrek Shack?
$2.
Thank you.
But yeah, there's so many. To go back to the camp thing, because the party scene made me remember this. I think one of the images that's just like embedded in my memory from this movie is when the floor blows up and the penguin comes up in the rubber ducky boat.
Mhm.
The inexplicable rubber ducky
I
boat.
love the rubber ducky.
But there's something about that aerial shot of him, a penguin man,
Go on.
riding a duck
in a summer blockbuster, you
in a
say?
summer blockbuster. in
Set
a
during the
fancy-
dead of winter.
in a fancy grown-up party
Yes.
where adult things are happening.
Sure.
It feels like the only thing I could write. I was like trying to pinpoint the feeling of it. It feels like a tarot card. It feels like a lost tarot card.
Also, he is a short little man.
He's a
Correct.
tiny.
Why
man
is
in a
everyone
large-
just like, oh no, we must just stand here and do nothing?
like? Also, what are they?
This is what I love.
What
about
are
How
they
do they let
screaming at
Trump-
though?
Go
They're
on.
just screaming because he's ugly.
Yes.
Like that's it.
He's crazy looking.
He's
I mean,
crazy.
he
He's a
has
weird
black
looking
goo
per-
coming out of his
His
mouth.
parents put him in a cage.
He's kind of handsome.
He's
He's got a nice smile.
You know what he's doing with his hair? Are you into that?
his teeth though have
His teeth?
They're the Gollum teeth. When the flashbacks in Lord of the Rings, when he's eating the fish and becomes bad, and then he's like, "I'm eating the fish, me."
I'm sorry. Let me just.
He wears Victorian pajamas.
Excuse me. Let me pause. Well, he's still wearing the outfit he had on as a baby, which is now stretched and tattered to its ends. Can I just pause the conversation for 1 second? All four of us find it attractive that he's constantly spitting up black bile, right? We talked about how we all secretly want to fuck Beetlejuice. We all like the black bile that's dripping out of his lips.
But you know,
well, spoiler alert to skip to the end, but when he is
When
like
he's dying.
face down,
Yeah.
they make a point to make sure that the black bile is coming out of his mouth in clouds.
Yes.
as the penguins look down at him
bile
in the
clouds.
water.
Bile clouds.
that's my favorite part of the
Beautiful
whole
shot.
movie is when the penguins march him into the
Yeah,
sea.
our morning
Where they're
have
like,
a sailor's.
and I imagine them just
or
thinking
Viking
like,
funeral.
you know, so ends the reign of the penguin, like ups and downs. You know, like, he made us a lot of sewer money, got us
Made us
involved in
millions
some
of
heady
sewer money.
schemes.
got a little crazy at the end there.
Right, at the end there, I don't know, he might have overshot,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, it's all
But
great
he
men.
represented our interests.
He was gonna make the whole city cold.
I love cold.
He throws that out, and they're like, I don't know, like it doesn't come up again.
Crank up the AC. My nightmare.
You lunatic. Oh no, it's perfect. I am the penguin, probably. In my office, I'm the penguin.
We're blowing out the mic so much because we have to do the
Do the
Danny
penguin.
DeVito voice. This is why this movie is like getting slapped in the face repeatedly, though. It's just like all these very long lines that DeVito is doing, but that he's just yelling. His delivery choice in all of them
What's
is
like
just
all guitar solos?
yes,
right.
basically.
Yes,
Right.
And as Ben said, like there's the scene where Max Shrek's like, I guess I'll make you the mayor. Wow, and
Not bad.
and they bring him up, right? And
He's
there's
like
the
a
scene
very
where he
problematic
lures
mayor.
him up with these.
Candidate.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, he talks
he has-
specifically about how he wants to just grow people.
We'll get to that. We got to get to that. You know, lures him up with a fish. He's half eating a fish. Then he bites someone's
Right.
nose.
He holds a raw fish in two hands and then bites into the stomach.
He's like-
So the fish guts are just pouring out.
He's like not done eating his fish, though. He's like very
He's holding on to the
confused.
fish.
He's
His
got a
motivation in
mouthful.
that
Yeah.
entire scene where they bring him into the campaign
and they're
office.
talking like branding with him,
but
and
he's not
like
sure whether to
eating
keep
the fish.
eating the fish or
Right.
not.
Yeah.
That's his main concern.
Right.
It's incredible.
Then he bites someone's nose and blood spurts everywhere. And after that, everyone's like, anyway, like to continue with our conversation, like they aren't like, my God, this man's a freak. Only when they hear the soundtrack where he's like, Gotham's for losers. They're like, what? What a scandal.
So I want to actually. This is making me think of another question I had. And be honest and don't answer quickly.
Okay.
Sure.
Heath Ledger's Joker, Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Danny DeVito's Penguin. I mean, you said
really
think
like
about
both.
it, but I've thought about it for years.
Right.
David,
I mean,
yours
as far
Penguin.
as Agents of Chaos go,
I like the Joker better.
I mean,
I like that, but I
as-
love the Penguin. It's
as
a tough
much
choice.
as I dislike everything that the Joker has come to represent in
Sure.
online
Yes, of
discourse,
course.
much,
Very annoying.
Well, he did it for the lulz. Joker did
I think
it for the lulz.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wanted some men. If I don't know if you've heard, but some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
It's a weird flex, but okay.
What's up? I'm
That's
sorry.
the tea.
What's going on?
Well, Joker is a little bit
Twisted.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Thank you.
That's good. But I really do like that performance, despite everything.
Love it. Love it.
There are moments in that performance that are just sublime, and you can't. No matter the
I agree.
context, no matter what happens, it's a wonderful performance. But as far as like an agent of chaos, and as far as like making you feel like you're losing your mind while you watch the movie,
Yes.
See, that I'm on board with.
Like,
Right. When you're watching
DeVito-
DeVito, you're like, I can't believe this is allowed.
Yeah,
Right. Your
whereas-
skin's like crawling.
with Heath Ledger, you're just
Heath
like,
Ledger,
I'm
you're like,
watching
this
a
is
movie.
charismatic
This is
movie
a very
star
good
playing-
performance in
right,
a movie.
Right, yeah. And also, like, the Joker, but the flip side of that is the Joker genuinely, he's just like, right, I do just want it to be crazy all
Right.
the time. The Penguin is a little more like, he's upset because he's a penguin.
Right.
Well, even think about
He's got that going on.
think about the
Anytime
difference.
you're looking at him, you're like, this guy does not like that he is a penguin.
Think about the difference between henchmen, like the Nolan's
Sure.
Joker.
Well,
It's
Right.
really scary to see clowns shooting at people.
Sure.
In this movie, they're just doing jazz hands and just kind of dancing around, and you're like,
is
am I
running
scared?
That's
What
the
is
classic.
happening?
I mean, that's the classic old Batman thing. The henchman who just like Mr. Freeze's henchmen have to wear like Eskimo suits at
Right.
all times, like even
And
in the
they're just
summer.
We need
mimes.
Vincent Scavelli as an organ
they're not
grinder.
fighting.
Rules.
They're not
Rules.
fighting Batman. They're just kind of standing there
Yeah.
waving their head
Right.
around.
Yeah.
They're like riding motorcycles and wearing skeleton heads and going, ah.
I do. The skeleton heads are
performers.
cool.
No,
Yeah,
they're not. I don't like the
They are
skeleton
good
heads.
performers.
Cool.
No.
Wait a second.
They got
No.
showbiz in their blood, and they just want to give us a nice show.
That's true.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
let me say some things I like about the Penguin, okay?
Go
Flipper
on.
hands. Yep.
So there's the Trump thing, right?
Kyle.
Where it's like, here's a rich guy, born rich, son of a rich man, never figured out how to be high class.
And also,
Also,
like
his
always
parents-
neglected by his parents.
Yeah.
Right. His father hates
Mommy
him.
and daddy. Yeah.
Right. He's entitled to all this money, but like all he wants, the way that people talk about Trump, where they're like, all he ever wanted was to be a celebrity. He wanted celebrities to like him.
Sure.
He performatively dips everything in gold because he thinks that's what a fancy person's supposed to do. Like he's not even nouveau rich, but he can't do it in a way to get the
It's
others.
the Mulaney joke that he's a hobo talking about what he would do if he was rich.
Right.
Is Donald Trump.
Right. And so, like, what's Penguin's driving force is like, I'm trying to figure out like where I came from and why I was thrown away. And
Yeah,
then, like,
right.
is there a way where I can now affect the role and resell myself as the kind of fancy leader that people want me to be? Where when he can't do it within like polite society of Gotham, it becomes the mayoral campaign.
Well,
Right.
and,
But he also-
and the adoration of the people quickly fills in the void.
That's
too.
the point. Like Shrek
yeah.
is like, I can use him to my own means because he'll be in my pocket and he'll give me
No,
the
of
tax
course.
cuts I
Yeah,
want.
yeah, right.
And then he will just love the fact that he's able to draw crowds and they don't
Yes.
care how grotesque he
But-
is because they've gotten into the
but-
idea that he represents the
But
people.
he has one fatal flaw.
Which is?
Anytime he sees a woman, he's like, oh, I want to fucking fuck you. Like, just like that, literally.
Well, he-
like, I want to squeeze your boobs right now. Once you're giving me all the signals. Like, that's what he's like.
He gets-
around any woman.
He gets so angry when Catwoman friend zones him. There's like
Yeah.
an aggressive
Yeah.
friend zone scene this way where he's like, I'm so angry I'll fly away. And then his like
on an upside down umbrella.
umbrella starts like turning into a helicopter. But the one thing of this movie that is totally fantastical is the idea that when they play the tape back that the people actually turn on him.
Right. They're
Because
like,
as we've seen in
oh,
real
he's
life.
not what he appears to be, which is a little
grotesque
penguin.
one.
Right, but what he's speaking to, much like Trump, is just like the anger of the people who are just like, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
So he would find some way in reality to warp that to be like, you'd be yelling at you too if you were me.
Yeah, it's and the Penguin tells it like it is.
Right.
I
But
mean,
then
we
this
all-
movie
we all
takes
agree
this
on that.
crazy third act twist, which talking about where he ranks in like the pantheon of villains,
Sure,
this is a thing that no other movies do. Okay? You have like the oh, I'm just an agent of chaos. I just want things to go crazy. You have the this is in order for me to steal all the money. I'm Mr.
Right.
Freeze. I need these diamonds,
Yeah,
right?
he needs diamonds.
It's like it's a heist, it's a theft type thing.
Diamonds power his freeze suit.
Right.
You know this.
Which is the Dr. Octopus thing of like, I need to steal these cores to build my experiment, right?
Yeah.
Or you have the
That's
people who are just like, I want power, I want to be in charge.
Or revenge.
Right.
Sure.
Like,
Well, personal
Catwoman
vendetta.
is more like a personal
But that's what I like about Penguin, is that like, he's on the sort of power quest, but it was driven by other people. And then once that falls apart, he's like, you know what? Just fuck everybody.
Right. I'm out for revenge against normal people.
I'm in a pointed way just
Yeah.
trying to get back at everyone in the world. My end game is just to murder people.
Yeah.
And this like vindictive thing of talk about things that are upsetting to children. I'm just going to steal all the babies.
Yeah.
Which is like biblical.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, like put blood on the door, like all the firstborn, the plagues are coming.
Yeah, it's the plague.
It's so upsetting.
Sure.
And there was famously this thing where
They just didn't know what to do in the last act.
right.
Yeah, when they were writing it.
Right,
Sorry,
but,
no, go on. What
I
was-
like that it just becomes like he just is pure evil.
Sure.
Like there's no like end that he's trying to get to. There's no gain for him.
Right.
It's not even that he philosophically likes the idea of people descending into chaos.
Right.
He just wants like to fucking make people miserable.
Well, and I feel like a lot of superhero movies kind of do this, and other movies too do this in some way, where you have somebody who's like maybe there's some shade of redeemability with them. They are able to experience acceptance or love or something.
Yeah.
And then when they lose it, they go all the way dark. Which
Right,
is
right,
it's
right.
like that, but I feel like yeah, not I want to say it's political, but not in like it's commentary on politics, like even though we can kind of read that today like that. But I mean, it is political in that it's like I feel like it speaks more to like systems and people and it's a more of a sociological thing than like a one man's journey type of thing.
Which is what I think this movie is all about.
Yeah.
And there is the element of like, as you said, like it fills a void in him. They dress him up nicer. People start to take him seriously as like a man of high society. But he still is like so bruised by like,
Yeah.
Catwoman, you were giving me all the signals.
Yeah.
like he still like is miserable. Like he never gets happy. He gets
Yeah.
like a little rush of it and he needs more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And so at the end, it's just like, there's no fucking way this ever works.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I'll ever feel normal. I'll ever feel like I got my fair shake. Like
Yeah.
I'm on even footing with
The people of Gotham with their chubby little digits.
Chubby digits.
David.
Yeah.
I want to announce, because this is one of our early episodes for the year, right? We're still
Oh,
in January.
2019 resolution?
2019 resolution.
Okay.
Here is my resolution.
Okay.
I resolve to never leave my apartment again.
Okay, so you're going to stop going to, say, like the post office
Sure.
and, you know, sending letters and packages when you don't have to? You're
Right.
just going to save time and money?
Right. So this is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm also going to stop coming to the studio to record the show.
Yeah, you
I'm-
made this threat before.
I'm going to record my parts of the episodes on my own.
Okay.
I'm going to put it on a CDR.
Okay.
And then using stamps.com, I'm going to mail it from the comfort of my own apartment into the Audio Boom studio, and then Ben can mix it in.
So you are aware that Stamps.com brings all the amazing services of the U.S. Postal Service to
Right.
your computer.
Right. And I'm like, this is so simple now. I can just mail this CDR over to Ben.
Right.
And I say the same shit every episode. I talk some crap about the Muppet Show or action figures.
That's true.
I get really
You
excited.
barely contribute anything,
I say
honestly.
things that are kind of offensive, and you can't tell if it's a joke about offensiveness
Right,
or
and I
actually
tell
just
Ben to cut it out.
wrongheaded.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he keeps it in and doubles it.
Right.
So I'm gonna make all of that. I'm gonna make a bunch of. It'll be like an audio board of sound cues.
Yeah.
And he'll get the CD every week.
Uh-huh.
And I never have to leave my apartment.
So you're going to use your computer to print U.S. postage for any letter, package, or class of mail anywhere you want to send it.
Obviously.
Your mail carrier is going to come pick it up. You're not going to have to take it to the post
He'll
office.
be the
There's no
only
more
person I
hassles.
have a physical relationship with when I hand him the box. He's the only person I will make direct eye contact with again in my
Are
life.
you motivated by the fact that it's also going to save you money? Like you get discounted postage rates that you can't get at the post office, and it's a fraction of the cost of expensive postage meters, and there's no equipment to lease, no long-term commitments.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the crux of this resolution is I made some very bad deals and there's some very bad men looking for me. So I want to stay in my apartment.
So you want something convenient, you want something easy, yeah, reliable.
Like very low
Efficient.
key, like off the grid.
Okay, well, you can use Stamps.com to sequester yourself and record your podcasts remotely, and you can enjoy the Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale.
Which is lovely because I can use that for many, many things, like weighing how much garlic I want to put into my pasta.
Okay.
Gotta put the right amount of garlic in.
Fair enough. You can start the new year off right.
I invested heavily in garlic, and I owe a lot of money around town.
To the Garlic Boys.
To the Cortese family.
Go to stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in check.
Yes.
You go to stamps.com, you enter check, and you're going to get a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale.
I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. And once again, if you're looking for some garlic to weigh on that scale, what?
Some garlic boys out there.
Okay, I got to make a run for it.
Oh, bye, Griff. Yeah. Just stamps it in. Stamps it in.
Yeah, use the audio files I sent you.
Okay.
So a couple things about this. One, in terms of Batman not really having anything to do in this movie, famously, his plot line was supposed to be largely centered around Robin.
Right.
Right.
Who they cast Marlon Wayans as.
Marlon Wayans was playing Robin, and it was like...
That would be so much stuff,
He
though.
took in a
They
street
too
orphan
much stuff.
who then was like fixing his car, and then
he
he
had a
started to
motorcycle.
train him,
Right.
and then at the end he became Robin. And they were like too many plot lines. We already essentially have 4 main characters.
Right.
By removing that, Batman just becomes like the love interest.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of interesting, and then occasionally just a piece of iconography for people to react
Right.
strongly to.
Right.
I like that his biggest action set piece in the movie is the Penguin controlling him with a remote control.
Yeah.
Like the biggest Batman action sequence in the film is Batman with zero agency looking like a terrorist.
Yeah.
I love the way the tech looks too.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It looks really
and
good.
the weird like pen car that his car turns
But
into.
even just
Yeah.
the exaggerated nature of how he's controlling it. It's
Oh,
so
the little
fun.
theme park,
right,
right?
that it's like
Yeah.
a coin operated
Yeah.
like supermarket thing. Yeah. I think all of that is rad. Marlon Wayans got paid more money than any of us ever will in our life to not be in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Merchandise Spotlight, they made a Robin action figure that looks like Marlon Wayans, but they painted it white. Because it was late enough in production
Really?
that they were just like, oh, fuck.
Oh, God.
So there is a Robin action figure. Everyone's like, why are there Robin toys? Robin's not in the movie. It's the suit design that they had built for him. And it's
I'm finding it.
by 1992 manufacturing standards, not a super accurate likeness, but it notably has a high top fade. It is
Weird.
a white, peach colored Robin with a high top fade.
Trying to find it. Is it this one? Is it this one?
Correct.
Oh,
that's
wow.
it. Right.
Yeah, if you can find a close up of the face, it's like Marlon.
Yeah, no,
Wayans.
you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell. Yeah.
Remember when nothing had to make sense, though, with superheroes?
Well, that's the
Like,
thing. These movies were for children, like
Yeah.
you say. Even though they made lots of money and critics had to, pay a little attention to them.
Yeah.
they were
They're for
goofy
kids.
movies for kids.
Yeah.
And when Joel Schumacher takes it in the even goofier direction, no one was like, "What a shame." Everyone
Yeah.
was just like, "Yeah, that makes
That's
sense."
logical
Right.
endpoint. Like,
Yeah, there he is.
That's
Power in
right.
a suit with diamonds. Oh,
Right,
yeah.
he looks like Kid in
Amazing.
Play. Yeah. No, but also
So
like
bad. Kid in Play are
fucking
two
like
people.
Rumpelstiltskin doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
Like all these things are just speaking to like these elemental fears.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know. I mean, I like that about these more, even though I feel like they really, it's not, the thing that annoys me is not that they don't make any sense.
Mhm.
I think it's more the feeling of watching them, aside from like kind of cool nightmarish imagery, but I'm talking about all the mayhem and all the insane action and stuff feels, I think, just too disorienting for me now.
Interesting.
Like it's just not, it doesn't feel like a childlike nightmare to me, nor does it feel like a competent action scene. It just feels like a lot of like, and I feel like anytime it slows down, anytime there's like a conversation between two characters, it is properly deranged and in a way that I can read and follow. But all of his style of action, I also want to maybe float that Tim Burton sucks at action directing.
Not his strong suit.
Not his strong suit. I mean, I just can't think of action.
He would never. I don't think
He
he
wouldn't
would
say he was
probably
good,
say he
right,
would
action
was,
director,
but I
yeah.
think like it's sort of instructive to see.
But it is funny to think that, right, he made 2 Batman movies and
Yeah.
invented these
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
movies
Without really knowing
them
how to
really
do that.
having action
Yeah.
No,
sequences.
he likes
yeah.
gags. Like he likes like setup payoff.
Right, and
sort of
Batman just
shit.
sort of like
Right.
stomps around very
Yeah.
slowly and sort of
So
goes, like,
stiffly,
punch.
yeah.
Like, yeah. He has the batarang that goes like do do do.
But he they give him enough time to sit there and be like, oh, I'm
I know,
going to
that
program it to hit
scene's insane.
this guy, this guy, this guy. Like, it's very,
Well, and the
it's
CD,
so,
the fact that like while the Penguin is controlling his car, he has the time to take out like a blank CDR,
Yeah.
like a Memorex,
Yeah.
from a multicolored 10-pack,
Keep going.
and then insert it in and just be like, I'll need this recording for later.
Is there any Catwoman stuff we want to say that before we get to the box office?
I do
mean-
like that they keep track the counting of how many times she's dying
Right.
throughout the movie.
I mean, I guess I know that guys always talk about this movie as being like this sexual awakening for them when they're young. And I feel like there's some weird, and I haven't quite wrapped my head around what it is yet, having just watched it for the first time in a long time. But there is some kind of version of that I think happened for a lot of girls, but it's like different. It's like a kind of aspirational thing, but also not. It's like both cautionary and aspirational at the same time. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, she's so good. When I was waiting for you guys to come back from class. Two glass holes to come back from class. I was just talking about like her performance is so subtly good in a lot of ways. Like there is a moment where she like, I can't remember what the action is, but it's something like she punches through a wall or she's like breaking open some box or something. And the way she does it, and it's like shot from behind. Also, I don't think that this movie objectifies her at all, no matter how kinky her costume is.
Yeah.
Like it's
Costume
very
is kinky, but she's not.
she's
They're
not-
not doing the sort of pan up her
she's
legs and
not
ass or whatever.
kinkified at all.
And they're always sort of presenting her as a threat above all else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just like this.
Well, and also Batman isn't afraid to say like "eat floor," like this isn't something where there's like some lady she has to fight.
Right,
you know?
right.
But there's a moment where she does this move, and it's like it's totally physically cat-like, but not in a cat's way,
Right.
like the
Yeah.
musical. Like it's in a way that like
Would be good if she was like Rumpleteazer.
sure.
Yeah, right,
I mean, she's
right.
not doing like this. I might be the like
Which Halle Berry does the little
right.
bit of.
She does
yeah,
a
right.
lot of that. But there's something. It's just like more just where do I put my weight in my body as I am like half inhabiting the role of a cat, which is like interesting and cool. And I noticed that way more this time around, and I was very impressed with that.
It's a very physically precise performance, and especially in a movie like this. I think the same thing of DeVito, though, which is kind of crazy because, like, as I said, I've been watching all this Taxi recently, and his whole kind of thing is that he just sort of, like, gets angry and flails around.
Sure.
And it's amazing how often in Taxi he's, like, pointing in the wrong direction. Like, the camera's not picking up on him. You get the sense that just, like, this guy's a ball of energy. Just let him do whatever he wants and just try to capture it.
yeah.
And then in this, you know, I get the sense that Burton was probably very meticulous on set, but between like the makeup and the costumes and the angles and their sort of gesture and all the different physical acts, there's just like constantly this relationship between them and the sets and the lens to like make these perfect sort of tableaus. And with both of them, it's crazy because they're wearing these things that must be like such extreme physical impediments.
Yeah.
So aggressively uncomfortable
Yeah.
and hot.
Right.
She came in pretty late to this movie because it was
She did,
supposed to be
Annette
Annette
Bening.
Bening.
Right.
Then she got pregnant.
Yeah.
Then Sean Young broke onto the Warner Brothers lot wearing a homemade costume, trying to get the role. And people never stopped making fun of her for that.
Yes, that's true.
And then Michelle Pfeiffer got it.
Yeah.
And jumped into it, and she in interviews will always talk about how like impossible it was. How she's just like the first day was like, I can't act in this.
Right, where
Right.
they
I
had to
can't
like
move, I can't
essentially
breathe.
cut her out of the suit once a day so she could like go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it was like horrible. I think.
Right. And she's in these insane high heels. She's
Yeah.
got these razor blades on her fingers. And she like had to learn how to actually use the whip. Like all this
Right.
stuff that's just
Yeah.
like
And she was in this point where she was huge because she had the Married to the Mob, Tequila Sunrise,
Yeah.
Dangerous Liaisons, and then Fabulous
Scarface.
Baker Boys.
Right.
Well, that's earlier. Scarface is.
Yeah.
But like that, Fabulous Baker Boys is like the greatest, one of the greatest female performances in
Yeah.
a movie,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I think, but then after that, that's 89. This is 92.
sure.
And in between, she just had
It's
like
like-
Frankie and Johnny. Like she hadn't had a hit.
Right.
So I do think she was on a slight downswing. Like she did kind of need, you know, to be in the zeitgeist again.
Yeah.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
so
that worked.
much.
I mean, this like really bumped her up for the rest of the decade.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of starts working less and less in the 2000s, but up until this point and after this.
through to like
White Oleander.
White Oleander.
Right.
She's in at least a movie a year.
Right.
You know, she works.
Yeah, and she was a big
Fucking,
star.
you know, One Fine Day, we stand two legends.
Yeah.
That movie rules.
Another movie I watched at a slumber party.
That's a real slumber party movie.
Can I tell you guys about my first experience watching this movie?
Please.
It's not really like a good story. Like it doesn't have a 3-act structure. But I will always associate this movie with being at a slumber party where, for whatever reason, because this is just the kind of thing that happened to me and I could not explain why, I watched this movie in the living room of my friend's house. There was a wall of couch cushions down the middle of the room. I had to sit on one side of the wall and all the rest of the girls were on the other side of the wall.
Wow.
Why?
That's just the kind of thing that happened to me when I went to a slumber party.
Regularly?
Yeah.
It makes walls.
So my memory of this is just sort of like sitting on like a bare carpeted floor and like all the girls are like on the other side of the
Why are you not on the? I don't understand.
I'm very upset by
Are you
this.
being victimized like actively, or is it just like passively?
I think
like,
I was just giving off like please make fun of me and torture me vibes as a child.
But you would get invited, and then they would invite you to sort of.
Yeah, I would be invited to a slumber party, but then things would always take a turn once the parents went to bed.
build that
Yeah.
wall. Suddenly they'd start chanting.
This is why
that.
I was such a goody two shoes because like whenever parents were around, everything was fine and I felt safe. And whenever parents went away, it was like, oh no, I'm gonna get like.
They treated you like the penguin.
Yes, this is why I feel so much for.
And that's why you were such close friends with Vincent Schiavelli. It's all
Yeah.
kind of
It's my guy.
making sense now. He's your number one guy.
Let's see the box office.
Okay.
Wait, final thoughts. Come on.
Wait.
Bruce Wayne, big ass fireplace. Rules.
Right.
You could burn a fucking
There's
tree
more
in that
colors
thing.
in this movie than there were in the last one, and I'm grateful to it for that. It maybe because it's a Christmas movie, but I think I don't know. Just
Well, let's talk about the ending, because there are a couple interesting things that happen in the ending. I mean, it ends with the 4 main characters standing off in the Gotham Zoo, a snow-fallen Gotham Zoo. And there's like not a final action sequence. Like you have this like
There's the electrocution, right? And
but what I'm saying
all
is you have, a Penguin gives his big patent speech, and then all the penguins take to the streets with their missiles taped to their backs.
oh, sure, right.
But then when they end up in this like sort of like Foursquare, they just sort of talk to each other.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there are acts of violence within it, but it's not a fight sequence.
And Bruce is essentially in this point in his life where he's like, you know what? This is stupid. Like, I don't want to. Like, who
Right.
cares?
right. This great.
Also, his mask rips off so easily.
I love it.
It's bad.
It's so strange.
I love
As a
it.
kid, I didn't like it.
And
but-
I
hate it.
I
It
like
looks
how
like a fondant.
weird the rip is. How he still has
Yeah.
like on
He
one
still has
side of
one
his
bit.
face. I also love when they cut back to him right before he rips it off. He doesn't have the eye black around his eyes.
Right.
We talked
yeah.
about this on this
It's
podcast
like
to the
a
extent that
shot I'm
I
obsessed
recorded
with.
it on my phone to just like double check it, and
Yeah,
it's great.
It's really weird. But he's sort of trying to like save Catwoman, which
Sure,
she just
right.
sort of
Right.
scoffs at the notion of.
No, she's sort of like half tempted, I think, but
Yeah.
then she wants to kill Max Schreck.
She wants her revenge.
Right, and he shoots her,
Well,
kills most of
and
her
this
lives.
is
and
this
then,
is where I think Batman starts. Like I don't know. I understand the argument that Batman sucks because he's a billionaire and a cop, basically. But I think this is where his I think it's easy enough to forget that about him when he's Michael Keaton Batman, because Michael Keaton Batman is such a weirdo and he's
Right.
so he hates being a millionaire. Not that it's like, oh, I hate being a millionaire, I'm
Yeah.
a good millionaire, but still, it's I think it's easier to overlook that kind of, I don't know, for me, not great aspect of Batman being a superhero. But I think at the end, when he's trying to assure Catwoman that the man who tried to murder her will be taken care of.
Into justice.
Like,
yeah.
the justice-
the billionaire industrialist.
Right,
like,
yeah.
who-
He's don't worry. The law will take care of this.
Yeah, right.
And she, understandably, I think,
like,
is
no.
Yeah, the
no,
whole
I don't
game
think
is
they
right.
will. Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. I think he doesn't want her to be a murderer, and of
Right.
course, she is upset earlier when Penguin kills the beauty queen.
Yes, she is,
character,
yeah.
which is another scene where you're like,
whoa,
oh boy,
okay.
But yeah, of course, she's got to fucking murder Max Schreck.
Yeah.
Rules.
Yeah. And in a big taser explosion.
She kisses him with a taser.
Right, that was supposed to birth Two-Face. And then when they were test screening it, people loved Catwoman so much that they shot this thing at the end. this final shot.
Where she looks up
Right,
at
the end of the movie
yeah.
was just supposed to be, Bruce Wayne takes the cat into the car, says Merry Christmas, Alfred, and then the camera pulls up to the skyline. And they couldn't get her back, so that's a weird animatronic dummy
Oh, weird.
for the back of her head. There's a whole special feature on how they tried to like replicate it and it didn't work, so they end up building a robot.
Why didn't they just use a person?
They did, and it like the shape wasn't right. It's so strange.
Oh, that's
on the
so
DVD,
strange.
they show all the evolution of the different attempts. And they did one with a stand-in, and there was a problem with it that I don't fucking remember.
Yeah.
Can we just rewind really quick, just because when Shrek, when Shrek gets electrocuted, he turns into like a really good charred corpse. Like,
Yes.
on scale,
Oh, it's so
because
good.
his eyeballs are not burnt, so they're just sitting there in a burned skeleton's head, and his hair still looks the same. It's wild. It's really good.
They wanted to make a Catwoman movie for a long time. There was a period of time where Tim Burton said that he was going to do it. It was part of the thing of him stepping down from Batman Forever, which he got a producer credit on that one. He wanted to make a third one. He was like, guys, now I get the sequel thing. If they're all like this, I'm down to make as many as you want. And they were like, you can't make these ever again.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
There was the big thing where they had a Happy Meal promotion for this movie, and
That
parents
they pulled, right?
protested because they were like, this is making it seem like it's a kid movie. My kid ran out screaming, or I had to pull my kid out.
It is a child's movie.
Yeah, but parents were so furious about it. There were local protests and shit.
These things were not so clearly delineated back then. It's like there's a lot of Wild West as far as like what was a child's movie and what was not.
Well, that was so their thing was right, and that was back then. There were also more like this is a family movie. It's Free Willy. Whereas now, like family movies are also adult blockbusters.
Right.
Like all movies are made for 8-year-olds.
It all got blurred together.
Which means that all the adult movies are
made for 8-year-olds.
Made for 8-year-olds.
So Tim Burton, I think, was like, cool, I'll just make Catwoman. Catwoman will be its own thing. You don't care about maintaining that brand. I can like run to my heart's content. And I think they never totally got a script they wanted.
Well,
no,
it was
Daniel
canned.
Waters wrote that incredible script that
Yeah.
they loved, and
Yeah.
the studio read it and was like, not only are you not
I
allowed to
forgot
make
about
this
that.
movie, don't even look at us again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see your face.
Yeah.
Darken this door, Daniel Waters.
So then Burton quit, and then I think they were still going to try to make some Catwoman movie with Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer eventually quit, and then it became like Ashley Judd. Like it went
Ashley
through
Judd
like
for a while.
all the sort of actresses of the 90s until it ended up at Halle Berry with
It's
the
insane that it. Man,
It was gonna be. I can't. There's some.
There's
Waters
another-
has explained what his Catwoman script was, and
Yeah.
it sounds
There's
amazing.
Yeah.
It's like she goes to some city that's like patriarchy city, and she
Right.
has adventure.
It's amazing.
She goes to like the opposite of Marwin.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
right. Right, and his thing was that he turned it in the day Batman Forever came out.
Oh, right.
And they were like, "This is not what we're
Yeah,
looking
never
for."
again.
There's
Right.
also I found I think it like surfaced in a couple of years ago that John August did a script for a Catwoman movie, and he like has his treatment that he put up too. That was like from late '90s, but still,
I think that's when it was still supposed to be the Ashley Judd.
yeah.
Here
But
it is.
it also sounds kind of good.
She goes to somewhere called Oasisburg, which is like Las Vegas to Gotham's New York City. It's a resort area in the middle of the desert run by superheroes, and it has the movie has great fun making fun of the whole male superhero mythos. They end up not being very good at all deep down, so she has to turn into Catwoman again.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great.
A town run by jerky male superheroes. The Catwoman has to like do battle in.
Yes, please.
It's like Vegas.
Yes.
It sounds demented.
Okay, so box office game.
Yeah.
I almost blew it on Doug Love's Movies because I thought this movie had grossed less than it did. I think probably just because of the reputation of it was a disappointment. It was such a big drop off from the original.
Crazy. I don't remember it. Like as a kid, it felt like the biggest movie of all time. It's weird to learn that it was such a disappointment.
Well, just like the first one just kind of made like everyone happy by being just sort of like middle of the road in terms of its weirdness.
Right.
And balanced out with enough normalcy.
Yeah.
And this one, I think people didn't know what the fuck to make of it. There are also few sequels like this that just like deviate this far from the original, change the aesthetic so much. Like he like warps a lot of the style from the first one. The sort of like 1940s aspect of it is sort of gone. It's a weird film. Anyway, David, box office.
June 19th, 1992.
Okay.
It opens to $45 million.
Which I think was the biggest.
It was the biggest opening weekend of all time.
Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation, I suppose that would be 97. So it's amazing how much in weekend inflation there's been in general.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the word of mouth.
What was the final total? It was 215.
No. What 162?
See,
it was not a big hit.
Right. Because the original did 400.
Yeah. No, it was a disappointment.
Right.
And there's no question.
Wait, what did the original do at the time? 260 or something?
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
I'm sorry. This is important.
251.
Okay.
251. So this made, like a lot less.
Right. Yeah.
Number 2 is the word of mouth comedy hit of the summer.
Of 1990.
That maybe no one, I assume this was sort of a surprise hit. It's made 55 million. It's going to make 139. It stars a lady.
Well, don't
a
say
great
it that
lady
way.
of comedy.
A great lady of comedy?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a Bette Midler movie?
No.
From 1992.
Correct.
Huh. And is she the only person above the title?
Oh, yeah. Not only is she the only person, only her first name needs to be above
of course.
the title.
The film is called Sister Act, and Whoopi is the star.
That's right. What do we think of Sister Act?
I've never seen it.
What?
Yeah, never seen it.
I don't remember.
I've seen
anything
2.
about it.
Sister Act 2 I've seen.
I've seen it. I've
The
seen both of them.
competition. Yeah.
2 is better. They're both good, though. Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did someone weird direct 2? Did Bill Duke direct Sister Act 2?
You don't have to yell at me.
I think the great Bill Duke directed Sister Act 2 back in
great.
the Habit.
Sister Act 1 was directed by
It's the
Emil
Dirty Dancing guy.
Ardolino.
He did Dirty Dancing.
And Sister Act 2,
Directed by the great Bill Duke.
Back in the Habit, was directed by Bill Duke. Yep. Great movie. Number 3 is a robust adult male thriller. It's a sequel, but it has a new actor.
It's a sequel, but it has
Robust.
a new actor.
Robust. It's a lot of talking. A lot of guys talking in the room, being like, we got to talk business and policy.
Is it a Jack Ryan movie?
It's a Jack Ryan movie.
Is it Clear and Present Danger?
No.
And the other one I always forget is called...
It's about the IRA. Sean Bean is in it. He's the villain.
Patriot Games?
That's right.
There we go.
Harrison Ford is Patriot Games.
All of them.
They're playing. It'd be great if someone in the movie actually said, like, they're playing Patriot Games.
Bureaucracy has a name, and that name is Jack Ryan.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The rare sequel that starts with Jack Ryan retiring, where you're just like, have we only just done one of these? He's already retired?
What if the third Batman movie was called Batman Retires? And he's just like, I gotta be honest, this Catwoman thing fucked me up. I don't know if I'm on the right side of this whole coin.
Number 4 is a comedy, 2 big stars. We all saw one of these stars last night at the New York Film Critics Circle.
They came up on stage?
Yeah, they presented an award.
Deborah Winger?
No.
I don't know.
Steve Martin?
Yes.
Is it House Sitter
That's
with Goldie Hawn?
right. Never seen House Sitter.
I haven't seen House Sitter.
It's fun. It's a Frank Oz film.
I've seen House Guest with
Yes.
Sinbad.
Right, and Phil Hartman.
Yeah. But I've never seen House Sitter.
I like House Sitter.
Are they house sitting? Is that the idea?
She is sort of a con artist where she pretends that she's house sitting and he
Okay.
comes
That
home.
That sounds like more than a sort of a con artist.
She is a con artist who pretends that she's house sitting when people go away
interested.
their vacation homes. And then he comes back and then she starts a relationship with him so she can stay there. I seen it a while ago. I remember it being pleasant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number
That's a good
3.
idea.
Yeah.
Number 5 is a 3.
Number 5 is a 3.
It's a 3.
Lethal Weapon?
Lethal Weapon 3. Starring.
Mel Gibson, Dan Glover, and
on the
scribbled
poster,
in Joe Pesci, who's trying
He's
to
going
get
like this. He's
in
going
frame. He's in between their two shoulders.
Have you seen this poster? One of my favorites.
I
I'm
haven't.
gonna find
I
it.
don't think so.
Joe Pesci, he must have been.
Emily's sick of us.
Do you
Here we go. I'm joking.
Do you think Joe Pesci was calling his agent like every day, being like, "I want you to stay on Batman in case DeVito quits"?
Yeah, right.
you think
We are
those
the
are his
stalking
fingers?
horse.
Yes.
Do you think those are his fingers?
No, absolutely not. Those are
Definitely
little.
not.
Those are little Vienna sausages.
Those are
Pudgy
some
little digits.
pudgy
Yeah.
digits.
Yeah, they don't have nails.
I just love this poster because Gibson and Glover are just playing it 100%
Right,
straight,
right.
like which makes it all the funnier. That
And Joe Pesci.
don't forget me.
Chubby digits.
Little Joey Pesci.
Oh boy, I've seen all the Lethal Weapons, but I really don't remember any of the sequels.
I think I have only seen 1 and 4.
Four's all right.
4 is overstuffed. I don't
There's a
say
lot
that bad
going on.
way. It's just interesting how many people they were pushing into that movie.
Yeah, because it's got Jet Li, it's got Chris Rock.
Right. The
Who else is
Pesh,
in it?
the Roos.
When
Russo.
did Ford come out?
Like 98.
Okay.
Yeah.
The gang's all here. We love him.
Oh yeah.
Gang's all here. Chris Rock just does some of his stand-up routines. in the
Literally
movie.
just does stand up in the movie.
There's a bit where
Yeah.
Joe Pesci's like, I can't get my cell phone to work. And Chris Rock's like, what's the deal with these cell phones?
Yeah, like, literally, like
And
that's what it is.
He just does his Letterman set.
Well, because he was
In a
he was
police
the
precinct.
biggest stand-up comedian since like Pryor, like
Right.
where it was just like we just got to get this guy in movies right now.
Right, he's going to
Like,
be a
you
movie
know,
star,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't like that I did that?
You've been yelling a lot, David.
I'm losing my voice too.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're
Weird.
recording another episode tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the decision to do Burton so far?
Well, we're still in the good.
You're still in
Burtons.
the good part. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've
yeah.
really genuinely because I'm not like Griffin where I haven't seen almost any of these movies in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
mean, Batman Returns maybe I've seen more, but like I had not seen Edward Scissorhands in close to 20
Right,
years.
right.
Mhm.
Same goes for like Pee Wee.
You don't drink the juice on the reg?
Don't really drink the juice on the reg. I went on a date with my girlfriend
I'm dead silent.
to
You could hear a
see
pin
it
drop.
to see it like in a park a few years
Right.
ago.
I
The
feel like
Juice?
it's very easy to see Beetlejuice frequently. I feel like I
Yeah.
probably see at least half of Beetlejuice once a
Okay,
year.
and you've said it 2 times, and that's enough.
That's okay.
Edward,
I
I've
want
seen a
him
million
to
times.
be here. I'd like to
Yeah, it'd
see
be great.
him. It'd be
People
fun.
were very unhappy when he arrived and nothing funny happened. Almost as if I hadn't planned out how that bit would end.
Anyway, and so I'm dreading the coming times.
We've only had to record one bad one. We've
which was
largely
in
been
advance,
going
right.
in somewhat order.
Right, but Planet of the Apes, I think, is going to be soon for us,
Really?
just in terms of chronology, like where
I mean,
we're at.
that is dead last bottom of the barrel for me. I haven't
think me
rewatched
too.
it since
Truly-
it came out.
truly,
but I think there are a few movies
boring.
that are more of a slog than that one.
Real
Yeah.
slog.
Yeah.
It does have apes. Whole planet of them. But,
Yeah, Giamatti's
So
good.
I'm so out on the entire. I've never seen any of the new ones that everybody
Yeah.
says are good. I don't.
What about the
like
old
those.
ones?
No,
I'm a big Apes fan.
I've seen Burton movies recently, although not a lot. I feel like the last one I saw. What did it have
Did you
been?
see them big eyes?
No, I didn't see Big Eyes.
Did you see them dark shadows?
No, I didn't see Dark Shadows.
You probably saw Alice in Wonderland.
No, I've never seen Alice
All
in
right,
Wonderland.
then
You might not
must
have
be
seen anything
Sweeney
since
Todd.
Yeah, it's probably Sweeney
Unless
Todd.
you saw Peregrine. For
No,
some
I
reason.
didn't. No,
Yeah.
it was probably Sweeney Todd.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Sweeney.
insane.
And you liked
That's
it.
10 years ago.
And you
man.
I
still,
liked it.
yeah,
12
maybe,
years ago.
Maybe that's a good place to leave.
Oh,
Yeah.
grotty
Yeah.
old London.
Yeah.
Put you in a pie.
London.
Sweeney. I have to get it out now because our guest I won't be able to do this in front of. Sweeney.
Oh, our guest for that episode.
Yeah.
But Dave, how did you learn how to do that accent so well?
Oh, boy.
He seems pretty good at it, actually.
Sweet.
I was
Yeah.
like the whole
So
time
weird.
like he locks
Oh,
right
that's
And
into it.
he's
It's
not
incredible.
like you're an actor, and so like it would make
Right,
sense
of
if you could
course.
do an accent.
I'm classically
like that.
trained.
But
I mean, that
David
walk-in
is.
I'm
was
no
good.
actor.
Yeah.
I'm no actor.
But did you do research
Wow.
for that accent? How did you learn how to? How
Did
would
you pick
ever,
it up
I
somewhere?
picked it up
maybe?
in London, mate.
What on a
Now turn into
vacation?
no fielding.
On a vacation? What do you do? Like a holiday? Like a house swap? What did you?
Well,
do?
recently I
Study
did.
abroad.
Yeah,
Recently,
you were there. What 1 semester tops?
Right.
One
He
semester.
stayed a little like extra.
See,
David, you
I'm
went for
willing
one
to commit
semester
more
in
to
days.
this bit now that I've
love the
yoinked
bit.
the other one
Correct.
out.
You
I
love
will
the
go
bit.
all in for this
Order
one.
has been restored. This is how things are supposed to be.
It is.
David,
it's how it should
wipe
be.
your tears away with Patreon money and
I
answer me.
literally loaded the
answer-
Patreon.
Answer
to make
me
sure it
this
was
one
on.
question.
Are you wondering if it's still worth
Still
it?
a 2K. Still a 2K. All right, there we go. Yeah, and we know
Oh,
it's
right,
worth
'cause
it. It's
it
worth
was-
it. You know, it's
it
got to
was-
be over.
David, please
Ah.
look at that number and answer me one question.
Uh-huh.
Where did you learn how to do that accent?
Well, I was gonna say I was actually just the other week in London on vacation.
Was it your first time?
Wasn't my first time because I was actually
But you
there.
must not have known anybody there.
I was actually there
You
for a
have no
wedding
roots.
of one of my closest friends because I grew
how-
up
how
in
could you-
London.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here, Emily. You're the mother of Blankies. You're the best.
I'm trying.
I met your mother last night.
It's true. You read the mother of Blankies.
The mother of Blankies, and I told her that, and she said, "Please stop yelling."
It was very loud.
I was drunk, and I was like, "You don't understand. You're the mother of Blankies." She was like, "I'm proud of my daughter."
She's still not really. She's visiting right now, and I'm pretty sure she still doesn't know what I'm doing right now. She I said it several times to her, and she's like, "So why are you watching Batman today?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Andrew Gudo for social media. We've been so loud this episode. I'm trying to be very like NPR and
Well, no,
formal
don't
now.
do that.
I know
Giving
I
me
am.
more work. Talking. How you been talking?
Oh my God, relax.
Relax.
Uh-oh. Clown Prince of Crime.
Thank you to Andrew Gudo for our social media. Thank you to Pat Reynolds and Joe Bowen for our artwork. Lee Montgomery for our theme song. Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit. Go to TeePublic for some real nerdy shirts. Remember to sign up for Blank Check special features on Patreon. And as always, an hour ago, Ben texted me we should end the show with "and as always," parentheses, sing Kiss from a Rose, except that's not from this movie. That's from Batman Forever. Ben.